This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Go Hayes hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, good afternoon, A's fans. Happy Monday to you. It's great to be back home after a long 3 days down in San Diego at the winter meetings. And we are back. We have breaking news, all the show prep, everything we did trying to get ready for today's show, just throw it out the window. Yeah, we'll still get into over $2 billion were spent in San Diego. Think about that. $2 billion guaranteed to human beings to play a game. It's absolutely crazy. 17 trades, only one big leaguer in those trades until today. But a lot has gone on in baseball. I can tell you we were going to start today. I was going to give you the market's heating up for Carlos Correa. Blah, 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 blah. We've heard that for 2 years straight. Rodon is out there. Bassett is out there. A lot of news. I mean, we only got so much to talk about Aaron Judge while we were down there. Signings after that. I mean, the Xander Bogaerts thing just threw everybody a loop and just, it wasn't so shocking if you were down there, the way the Padres were throwing out money like it grows on trees, like they got this pocketbook nobody else has. But it really sent the industry reeling with the amount of money and the years that are being given out to players. It's an offseason like we've never seen before. But more importantly, you do have the breaking news sounder ready to rock because we do have A's news. Didn't think it was going to come down, but it has. Live from the ABC Sports Desk in New York, I'm Chris Townsend. Sean Murphy has been traded in a three-way trade where we haven't seen really any trades involving big leaguers. Why? Because it's just easier to buy guys. It's easier for me just to give you cash and not have to give you prospects for a player. It's that easy. I get to keep my prospects. I pay the player. It's just money. But that's not the case now. Sean Murphy, the Gold Glove catcher, has been traded to the Atlanta Braves. Another Braves trade. Of course, the last one we saw, Matt Olson, before the start of the season after the lockout. So Sean Murphy is going to the Atlanta Braves. It's a three-way deal involving the Milwaukee Brewers. Some of the names have come out. Not all of the names, because not all of the players have been notified yet. I have no idea who's going to the Milwaukee Brewers, nor do I care.
Well, I know one guy. William Contreras, the all-star catcher, but was a DH all of last year, mainly for the Braves, is going to the Brewers as a part of the deal.
I don't care. I want to know who the A's are getting. How do we get better? That was the theme of the winter meetings. As Aledmys Diaz. It's actually Meese if you look at the pronunciation.
I know.
Guide.
I always hear Aledmys. So
yes, it's really Meese, but Aledmys, whatever you want to call it. Jace Peterson and Chad Smith, pitcher from the Rockies. And then we got the kid in the Rule 5 draft from the Dodgers, Noda.
Ryan Noda, yeah.
All right. What did we get?
So far, this is Ken Rosenthal, but there's various reports. Kylie McDaniel, our friend, Robert Murray, Jeff Passan, Joel Sherman, all involved. A's are getting Kyle Muller, who was the Braves' #1 ranked prospect, a big 6'7" lefty who did pitch the majors last year. Went 1-1 with an 8 ERA and 3 starts.
Lefty.
It's very interesting. You got Waldichuk, Irvin, Sears, a lot of AJ Puck, who they want. Everyone's saying he's going to could be fighting for a rotation spot.
Oh, wait. Cole. Let's just play the game. Puck, Muller,
Waldichuk.
Well, we believe you pronounce this kid's name is Muller, 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 like the Mueller report. Waldichuk.
Yeah, Muller. Yeah, we got it right. We got it right.
It's Muller. Yeah. Waldichuk, Sears.
Are we forgetting?
Are we? Blackburn, you're out. It's 5 lefties. We're going to start 5 lefties in 2023.
Yeah, and Cap has a shoulder. Was it a shoulder injury? Yeah. So we don't know what his report is. And Martin told us in the winter meetings that the A's were apparently involved in on Jose Quintana, who ended up signing with the Mets. So maybe they're looking for another veteran left-handed pitcher. Who knows? I mean, we cornered the market on catching. Maybe we're going to corner the market on left-handed starting pitchers.
Which is not a bad thing. And by the way, the Mets, who have now spent more money than any team in the history of baseball by a lot. It's absolutely crazy. All right, so Muller, who else?
We got right-handed pitching prospect Freddie Tarnuk. I think his highest level he's pitched, and he's a 6th-ranked prospect by the Braves. Let's see, he pitched his highest level. He did reach majors as well. He's 24, 6'3".
So we got the number 1,
6,
the number 6, and both those guys have pitched for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up his. I didn't realize he reached the majors last year. Let's pull up his.
So we heard that the A's were going for guys that were close to big league ready.
He appeared in one game as 2/3 of an inning.
It's more than 0.
Yeah, so that's another one. Kind of a head scratching one, but maybe he's just a throw in. 35-year-old catcher Manny Pena.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he's coming from Atlanta. And outfielder Estuary Ruiz. I hope I'm saying his first name right. He's an outfielder. That's actually from Milwaukee. First 3 guys: Muller, Pena, and Tarnuk, all from the Braves. Manny Pena or Ruiz coming from the Brewers, outfielder. That's what we know so far. There could be more players involved.
How do you say that? How do you say the guy's name?
It was like Estuary. I saw someone tweet about it. There it is.
Estuary Ruiz.
Yeah, Estuary Ruiz. He's one of the players actually involved in the Padres in the Josh Hader deal. He is ranked.
So we can talk to our Padres connections to find out who is this guy.
The number 8th ranked prospect in the Milwaukee Brewer system, outfielder. He actually reached the majors this year too.
Hell, this might be the best haul we've gotten in a long time.
That's 4 major leaguers back in return for Murph so far.
But you got 3 top 10 prospects in their organization.
Correct. And then Pena, who's probably going to back up Langoliers until Sutter
you needed a veteran catcher. He's probably dirt cheap. He's 35 years old. I checked. He had $143 last year in like 14 games. I mean, he's not making big money here. So you're taking back. You're saying you need a veteran guy as Langoliers now becomes your starting catcher. And then you got 3 prospects who've all been to the big leagues at least once. And they're your number 1, 6, and what was
Ruiz is 8th. The A's did ship another player away. I believe Joel Payamps is going to the Brewers.
A lot of people liked him.
Yeah, it was a waiver claim from the Royals, I'm going to say, last year. So that's what we know so far. This is Ken Rosenthal on Twitter.
Payamps, we hardly knew you. Good luck.
If you want to follow along, at Ken_Rosenthal on Twitter. That's what we know so far.
I know right now. I know how you feel. We've been dealing with this and going through this for a long, long time. If this was the A's postgame show and I threw out the number, I know where you all would be going with this. It's here we go again. But you knew it. You knew this was going to happen. These trade rumors had absolutely been flying now for a while. I want to stay consistent on what I had to say when people brought this up at the end of last season. Murph's going to get shifted out. He technically, and it's tough to say, but you got to think of the business. We get so emotionally attached to guys that you want to have a guy forever. And the way baseball is going, you're now signing these guys for 11 years. These deals are disaster deals. But they already know. I may give you 11. I'm only going to get 7 or 8. But good years. The reason why I'm giving you 11 is because it keeps the average annual value down. So if I give you $300 million over 11 years, that brings the average annual value down. I know you're not going to be good for 11 years. Guys aren't on roids anymore. They're not on PEDs, so you're not putting up career numbers at 38, 39. We're just going to swallow it in the end. It's part of the business. But Sean Murphy right now, where the A's are, is no good to the A's. He's not. I'm sorry. We lost 102 games with him last year. And you're not going to rebuild the team around him. He's a catcher. They have a shelf life. Do I love Big Murph? Yes, great guy. Tough to get him on the show, but
we got him once. We got him the last game of the year.
Well, I had to carry him a few times when we were up in front of the fans and they got to ask questions. I had to carry Big Murph a couple times in those situations, but he's a nice young man. Like him a lot. But what good is he? His prime years, we're not going to win. That's just a reality. You may hate that process, but that's a reality. I have to deal in reality. And the reality is Sean Murphy would be on this team next year, and they're still going to lose 90-something games. Sean Murphy's value to the Oakland A's, to this franchise, is to bring us players that in 2-3 years, when we turn this thing around and we start winning games again, these players are going to help us win to where Murphy would now be in his 30s. Catchers do not age well. They just don't. Murph is not a Hall of Fame bat. You didn't give away Johnny Bench. You didn't give away Pudge Rodriguez. He's got power. He's good defensively. He's a damn good catcher. And good luck to him in the Atlanta Braves. But next year, holding on to Sean Murphy is he's going to turn, 29?
I believe he'll be 29. I think he's 28 right now. Let's see when he officially turns.
His value is bringing these players to the A's that we hope that these prospects, who will be in the big leagues next year, will help us win. And will help us win for years to come.
We heard all along, Murphy will also turn 29 in October. He just turned 28. We've heard all later in the winter meetings that the A's were looking at getting back major league guys in a deal. All these guys are major league guys. They've all appeared in a major league game. Manny Piña's been in the league for many years. So
he's 30,
he's
35. I hope he's appeared in a game.
I mean, I pulled up Ruiz's stats, and if just playing for Milwaukee, I mean, it's a small sample size. He played in 3 games. He had 8 at bats. He didn't have a base hit, but still,
he's been to the big leagues.
He got called up.
There's a reason you're looking at prospects on teams that are good teams. You're not talking about, this is the Kansas City Royals called a guy up. The Milwaukee Brewers were in the hunt. The Braves were in the playoffs. And what's his name?
Sorry, Ruiz has actually played in the game for the Padres and the Brewers. He's actually appeared in
he's come
17 games.
Padres who were in the playoffs.
Yeah, 17 games, 35 at bats.
So they're coming from good organizations. And I know today you're going to hate it and you don't want to hear me say it, but I'm telling you, we knew it was going to come down. It was either going to be now, this winter, or it was going to be before the trade deadline. And I heard it. But he's our guy. He's not your guy. He's not your guy. The A's are going to be in another turnaround process. Hopefully, really starting next season. Yes, Mark Kotze is going to tell us in spring training, it's all about this season, going to play like hell, going to try and win every single game, and we're going to say, right on, we're in. But the reality is this process is the year after and the year after that. And if these guys are winning games for you, and they're winning big games for you, and you're talking about competing again, like we like to do and get used to, you're not going to worry about Sean Murphy. I'm telling you right now, 3 years from now, when Matt Chapman's hitting 225 and he's 34 years old, you're not going to care anymore. You just don't. The guys that were here in 12, 13, and 14, when the A's started going to the playoffs again, and 18, 19, and 20, you didn't care about those guys anymore, did you?
No.
No one was calling up the postgame show going, what about Brandon Moss, Josh Reddick, Coco? Donaldson got brought up, but now Donaldson's become my boy Donaldson's a pariah, making $21 million a year.
Some of the things you sent me around Thanksgiving were pretty funny about Yankee fans.
Oh, Yankee fans do not like Josh Donaldson. So I get it. I'm not telling you not to be upset. I would never do that. Your feelings are your feelings. You're A's fans. You love this team. You love the players. Don't worry. There's new players to love. There's always new players to love. It's maddening, but you've got to understand you're rooting for the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey. These guys come and they go. Who's going to get us back into the winning circle the fastest? And Sean Murphy's going to get expensive. I know he's controllable. He's not a free agent for what? 3 years?
Yeah, I think he was under team control for 3 more years. I'll just double check. I think it was 3 years, but it's going into this 8/28, going to be 29. He's not a free agent until 2026. So you got 23, 24, 20. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, at that point, breaking the bank, he's going to be 31, about to be 32.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like you're playing this game of, okay, it's going to be a while before we're good. By the time we are good, he's going to be in his 30s and he's going to be expensive. And I don't know where we're all going to be in 10, 11 years. We laughed about that at the winter meetings when Trey Turner signed. Where are you going to be in 11 years? But in 9 years, if we're all still here in 9 years doing this, these deals that were just signed in San Diego are going to be train wrecks. But like I said, they're going to go extra long on the deals to bring the average annual value of the contract down. Because that's what helps them with the luxury tax, right? That's the game we're playing. You want to stay under the taxes. You don't want to hit that third. The more you stay there, the more you lose prospects, the more you get fined, the more you want to try and stay below. And you're hoping that these long-term 11-year deals can help you do that best as possible. But they're going to be train wrecks. Do I think Xander Bogaerts is going to be playing shortstop or Trey Turner is going to be playing shortstop when they're 40 years old for the Padres and the Phillies, respectively?
Oh, didn't Eno tell us he thinks that Trey Turner could be a good center fielder eventually?
Someone said at DH, like he's not a power guy.
He hit 20 home runs last year, but
20 home runs?
Yeah, he's not a DH guy.
We're talking, these guys are getting contracts like they're Albert Pujols. When Pujols signed their contract with the Angels, he had 3 MVP awards.
Yeah, he was a power hitter still. He still was a power hitter after he went to
He had just
Anaheim.
won the World Series.
Yeah.
You were talking about a guy that's a future Hall of Famer. Are you telling me Xander Bogaerts did not have a great year last year?
Let's
he
take
hit
a look.
under 20 home runs.
And he's 30 now, which...
Yeah, I mean, they're on the wrong side of it.
Bogaerts hit 307, 15 home runs, 73 RBI, and he had an 833 OPS.
15 home runs, 73 RBIs, just got 11 years for $280 million. Nimmo, who hit 16 home runs, and I know they're playing premium defensive positions, but Nimmo's not a great center fielder. And they think he'll be moved. He had 16 home runs. He got 100 and what?
162 over 8.
I mean,
right? Was it 8? I think it was 8.
It's just like these deals will not. I'm glad we're not a part of these deals. I'm glad we don't get look because I'm telling you, I would have a hard time selling it. I know I'd have to sell it. I'd have to be. This is great. We're signing a guy till he's 42 years old. This is great. We get our version of Miguel Cabrera. We get 4 years of overpaying a guy who's not even worth a couple million, let alone 30. I know. I'm not telling you not to be bummed. You're going to be bummed. I get it. Sean Murphy's going to be playing for the Braves. Good news is he's in the National League. Don't have to really see him.
Just that one time.
It's one time. Are we there or is it here?
I'd have to pull up their schedule. They came here last year, so maybe we go there.
No, it's the new schedule this year. So when do we get to see Matty Olson and Sean Murphy? Do the odds of you getting Sean Murphy for an interview? The man just doesn't like doing interviews.
No, we got a better chance to get an Ole back again.
Oh, we'll get Ole back.
Or Wash or Walt Weiss.
Great Walter Weiss.
Let's see. Give me a second while this loads. I'll find it.
So, yeah, it's tough, but understand it's business. It's the business of how to get better. And don't be shy. I mean, seriously, I'm not even going to bring up Sean Murphy's numbers.
Braves come here May 29th, 30th, and 31st.
All right, there you go. I'm not gonna bring up Sean Murphy's numbers. I don't know what he can be. I mean, he's a good catcher. Which defensive catchers, and the reality is when you start to look at how this offseason has gone, and we know rule changes are coming. I mean, what's his name? Wilson Contreras signed for what?
5 for 87 with the Cardinals to replace.
And he's
Yadier Molina.
And he's brutal defensively, but they know the automated strike zone's coming. The whole framework thing is coming. Now, throwing the ball to second base as a catcher has become valuable again because we're going to see a lot more steals. But Sean Murphy did not excel like we thought he was going to at the start of the season. Do we have more breaking news?
Yeah, we do, and it involves another former A. According to Jeff Passan, I think you're going to do this is Chris Townsend.
No, I already did that.
Breaking, right-hander Chris Bassett and the Toronto Blue Jays are in agreement on a 3-year, $63 million contract pending a physical. Sources familiar with the deal tell ESPN.
One of my favorites. Good for him.
Oh, the full trade's out also for the A's.
But for Chris Bassett, I am happy for him. Great guy, great A, loved playing here, good to everybody. And if you want that good story, someone who battles through adversity, someone who was at rock bottom. Chris Bassett literally was at rock bottom. And just after Tommy John surgery, it just continued not to go well. And he thought that his career was over. And the reality is it wasn't. I'll never forget, in Japan, would have been 2019, where because he had missed the entire season in 18, there was an extra option, a fourth-year option, that allowed the A's to option him back to AAA. Because usually he was out of options, but he got that extra option where, I mean, obviously, if the A's had to put him out there, someone would have claimed him. And I remember doing the interview with him, and he was pissed. He was. And I remember one of the old PR guys was lurking around the corner listening to the interview. I didn't know this. And we're in the Tokyo Dome. And the Tokyo Dome had these hallways that went down. There was a training room that then led into that goes into the I don't even know if we were the home or visiting clubhouse, but this PR guy was like snooping on our interview in one of our old guys. And after told me, you can't run that, because he was angry. And I said, I'm going to run this. And I went to David Force. I said, are you cool with me running this? And Dave was like, of course. I totally understand. That's why the A's are cool. David Force understood Chris Bassett was upset. And he had every right to be. But business is business. And the A's were using that fourth option because they didn't want to lose Chris Bassett. And it worked out great for everybody. Worked out for Bassett, worked out for the A's. Obviously became an all-star, was a great pitcher for us. And there's certain guys that no matter where they go, you will always root for them. And Chris Bassett is one of those guys. So good for you, Seabass. Wow, we got breaking news. Just boom, 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 boom. All right.
Last player in the real quick. The A's got right-handed pitcher Royber Salinas from the Braves also.
What's the first name?
The Brewers. Royber. Wait, no, he's from the. Let me make sure I'm getting it right. Yes, Royber. Royber Salinas. He's 21 years old. He was pitching in high A. He's a right-handed pitcher. 18th ranked prospect in the Braves system.
So 1, 6, and 18 from the Braves.
And Pena, major leaguer. Don't forget Manny.
1, 6, 18 from the Braves.
And then number 8 from the Brewers.
Sounds like a pretty good haul.
All major league experience except for Salinas, who.
Because I can tell you, we've had these hauls and we've been like, who did we get? I don't love that. At least as of right now, the numbers on the prospects of where they ranked, you like. But I'm not telling the A's fans to not be upset. You're going to be upset. I know it. Not going to tell you not to be. It's always tough when you lose players. But if 3 years from now, 2 or 3 of these guys are leading you back into this discussion where we're battling, the division's, it's good. Houston's good. Rangers are all in with all the money they've spent. I don't know if it's going to work, but they're all in. Seattle's going to be good. We'll see what Anaheim's able to produce. But in 2-3 years, the A's are starting to win again because of these players. You're not going to be upset then. Now, Sean Murphy goes on to be a Hall of Fame catcher, then yes, you will be upset, and you have every right to be. But if Sean Murphy's hitting 230, 240, showing some pop, see, that guy fits on a team that already has mashers. Sean Murphy can hit 240, 18 bombs, drive in some runs, and fits in great. But in the middle of the order for us, and then you're going to pay that, and as we know, catchers regress offensively. Give me his years.
Murph?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Give me his year.
I'll give you this year. He hit 250, 18 home runs, 66 runs driven in. He had a 759 OPS. In 148 games. Last year, he played in 119 games, hit 216, hit 17 home runs, drove in 59 runs.
Folks, you're not building your offense around that. I know. Be angry. You love the guy. Keep the numbers there. No one cares about the Braves lineup. 18 home runs, 66 RBIs. You're not building your offense around that. You're not giving that a long-term contract, saying this is the standard in the middle of our order. The year before, 17 home runs, 59 RBIs. You're talking about a career 236 average. Yes, you love him. Great guy. Really good catcher. But you're not building your offense around those numbers long-term. You're not giving that an 8-year deal. Just understand that. So I didn't want to bring it up. He brought it up. You brought it up. I didn't bring his numbers up. I said I wasn't going to go to his numbers, but you did. But since you did, I'm going to tell you.
Well, okay.
Once again, you're not, unless this dramatically changes. I mean, I'm not gonna put my money in the Sean Murphy basket. If we only have so much money to spend, I'm not putting it in the Murph basket. 17 home runs, 18 home runs, not a ton of RBIs.
And the crazy thing for him too, because that's the reason why I pulled up Atlanta's lineup, because he can DH, because they have Travis d'Arnaud, a pretty good offensive and defensive catcher who's probably going to get a lot of the playing. They're going to split the playing time, but Murph can DH or d'Arnaud can DH.
They all can DH.
Yeah, like
the National League has already come out and they're like, they use the DH as a day off.
Yeah, like this could be the Braves lineup next year, which is just crazy in a good way for them. Ronald Acuna can lead off. The rookie of the year, Michael Harris, the second, can play center. Your guy, Austin Riley, will play third.
You didn't like him.
Matt Olson will hit fourth. The DH spot could be Murphy, Travis d'Arnaud, or Miguel Ozuna. Was it Miguel Ozuna?
Miguel Ozuna.
Yeah. Then you got catcher d'Arnaud or Murphy. Second base, Ozzie Albies. Left field could be Rosario or Ozuna. And shortstop, probably Vaughn Grisham, unless they re-sign Dansby Swanson. That's a very good lineup for a team.
I would bet right now, if I had to bet on one team to getting Dansby, I would say the Braves bring him back. It won't be the deal that he wanted, but it'll be I'm making millions. I'm back home. I love these guys. I've won a World Series with them. But once again, Sean Murphy in that lineup is far different from Sean Murphy hitting third or fourth for us. He can hit the bottom of the order there, and everything's fine. Sean Murphy's first half, I mean, he got hot. He's a streaky guy. And I don't want to crap on him. I mean, that's not fair. I'm just saying, Sean Murphy as a middle of the order hitter, you're not going to have a great lineup if he's the guy you're building around. You're not going to have a great lineup. He fits in a lineup like that. Yeah, no question. Could he DH? Sure. Can he hit seventh? Can he hit eighth? Yeah, he's not hitting third or fourth in that lineup. He's not your main guy.
Oh, I should call Julian. Or should we push him back a little bit? What do you think? I mean, Boston's interesting, but this is the biggest thing going on right now.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing. Tell him 145. So the A's have been players. So Diaz, Peterson, both guys 2-year deals. You're looking at versatility that can play everything. That's something, when you're not going to spend a lot of money, what you need is versatility. So when you've got Tony Kemp and you got Diaz and you got Peterson, you got guys that can play all over the diamond. The A's are just trying to get better. They're trying to be competitive. But with these kids coming in, you can't tell me you're not excited about Waldichuk. Waldichuk looks like a guy that can be legit in your starting rotation. Muller is 6'7".
Yeah, 6'7".
I mean, we've got a basketball team going with AJ Puck and Muller.
Isn't Waldichuk's pretty big too, right?
6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, we're not Kareem and Wilt.
I mean, Muller can play center with now the way the NBA is.
Our front court's a decent size.
Yeah. Sarris can run point. He's a little shorter, but he's a lefty. If you're looking at the all lefty rotation.
Well, what's gonna be one of the main stories at spring training, which we've been down this road before, and it scares me, but we're going to have to do it again. When we hit Arizona, I know we're going to be talking about AJ Puck's future. We know he can relieve. We know that now. Now, he stayed healthy for one season. Knock on anything you can knock on. He stayed healthy for one season. He doesn't want to start again. And we knew the rumblings were happening at the end of the year. And then David Force came on with us in San Diego at the winter meetings, the Manchester Grand Hyatt, and said, yeah, that's something we're going to look at. So you already know kind of the idea of what your rotation is going to be. And the good news is there's competition. There is legit competition now for the starting rotation. If Puck is able to start and stay healthy and now blossom, it's a big if, but blossom into that guy that they thought coming out of the University of Florida, and now you're throwing in another 6'7" lefty. Some of these guys, and we'll have to talk to David about this, some of these starters who don't make the rotation may not just necessarily go back to Vegas. Swing guys are becoming very valuable. Do I have a guy that can eat up innings? How to get outs? 4,300 and something outs?
74.
4,374 outs you got to get during a season, and these starters aren't going long. And you saw last year. I mean, you can burn up a bullpen real fast. When your starters don't go deep, it's scary how fast you burn that bullpen up. But if you have a couple guys, I think J.P. Sears could be that guy. J.P. Sears, because he did it for the Yankees. I mean, the A's saw that. He could be a guy that, okay, you're going to go down to the bullpen, and there's going to be some games you're coming out of the pen, you're throwing 3-4 innings. And then if somebody goes down, boom, we immediately put you in the starting rotation again. And you're just back and forth, back and forth. It's that positionless staff that we've talked about for years where guys just come to the ballpark and you say, you're throwing today, you're not throwing today, you are, everybody be ready. You guys, you don't be ready.
It's kind of like what the Rays are doing.
The Rays have been mixing and matching and openers and for years.
This is like the first year, I think, going into a season, they're going to have like a full 5-man starting rotation.
I would have no problem, and I'm just spitballing here. I'd have no problem. You take someone like J.P. Sears and say, all right, here's your role. Game 1, starter can't get out of the third. Here comes J.P. Sears out of the bullpen. And if there's ever a day where you want to push guys back, give them some rest, J.P. Sears, you're starting today. He's a tough kid from the Citadel, out of a military school. He's got that regimented mindset. He's tough. You can put him in any situation.
Dare I say 6-man rotation?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I was reading something about the Mets or someone could use a 6-man rotation.
That's just terrible.
And I'm like, with Verlander and Scherzer, you're going to tell them they need to take some time off?
Let's have guys pitch less.
Yeah.
That's what we need. No, we need these guys to get out there and learn how to pitch every 5 days. God, that drives me nuts. Let's figure out how to have guys pitch even less than they pitch now. No, count me out. Every 5 days, learn how to be a pro. Look at Cole Irvin. Look what Cole Irvin has become for the A's. He's a guy that's learned because he was kind of J.P. Sears, the role I'm talking about. He was pitching out of the bullpen, got a chance to start some, and then now he learned, as he's told us here on A's Cast Live, his body has learned, and now he's made 30 starts 2 straight years. Why? Because he learned how to do it. They have to learn how to do it. You just can't talk about it. You have to learn how to do it. And so this Muller kid who's 6'7", he's their top prospect. He's 25.
Yeah, I looked. His max velo, his fastball average 94.2. So we'll say 94.
He's like Waldachuk.
Yeah, he's 6'7", so he's lanky.
It's you're 25 years old. Your time is now. What's his birthday?
His birthday is, of course, doesn't have it on the Baseball Savant page. It is October 7th, so he just turned 25.
Yeah. This is. You don't want to be hanging out in AAA at 26. I don't know if he'll start this season in AAA, but your time is now. I mean, you're a guy like this. You're a guy like this who's so thankful he got traded. Waldachuk, thankful he got traded. Sears, thankful they got traded. You're going to a team that's going to give you an opportunity to pitch in the big leagues. This is your dream. This is your shot. That's why guys love coming to Oakland. I'm getting my opportunity to play in the big leagues. And if we had to sacrifice Sean Murphy, I know it's tough. Once again, I'm not telling you not to be happy or to be unhappy. I'm not telling you how to feel. I know how you're going to feel, but I'm just saying if's a big word. IF is a big word. If these guys work out, could be gold. Right? All of a sudden you start having a rotation. Like if you just said, all right, going to say Cole, going to say Blackburn, going to say Waldachuk, and this Muller kid, and then we got a bunch of other guys to figure out this fifth, and that's how you start the season, I'm entertained. Yeah. I'm now entertained. You're throwing out, I didn't mention A.J. Puck. We're going to have to see on that. But if I got a bunch of 6'5" to give me Waldachuk, he's at least 6'4". J.P. Sears isn't. We're almost eye to eye.
6'4".
You're giving me ranges of 6'4" to 6'7" left-handers? That gives me something to get excited about. I can only deal in reality, folks.
5'11" for J.P. Sears, by the way.
That's all right. That's all right.
I mean, Cole's 6'4".
We got big dudes. We got some big lefties.
Are we is there some new strategy that David and the front office are coming up with? Is getting Randy Johnson-esque type or big left-handers.
All right, who's some big forwards that shot left-handed? I think Sam Perkins. Sam Perkins was a lefty.
I'm trying to think of left-handed.
I know he's not popular anymore, but Lamar Odom was lefty. Wasn't Lamar Odom lefty?
Yeah, he was lefty.
I mean, we got a bunch of like Sam Perkins, a bunch of big lefties, power forwards, just like the big lefty, the great Scott Emerson.
Oh, Mully. Mully's left-handed. Chris Mullen.
He wasn't forward, though. Well, I'm talking about power forward.
Oh, Chris Bosh.
Chris Bosh, lefty. We got a bunch of big lefties. I like it.
What was Zach Randolph's nickname? Oh, the old former Grizzly, Michigan State product.
I know Zach Randolph had a lot of cell phones.
Well, yes.
There was a reason.
What was his name? He had a good nickname. What was
There's a reason to have more than one. I have one cell phone. How many cell phones you got?
I have one. Zebo. Zebo was his nickname. That's a great nickname.
All right, coming up next, Sean Murphy has been traded. Once again, quickly, give the haul. Once again, what did the A's get from the Braves and the Brewers?
Let me get to it real quick. The A's have acquired the Braves' number one prospect was the pitcher Kyle Muller, left-hander. They got Freddie Tarnock, the Braves' number 6 prospect, a right-handed pitcher.
2 top 10.
Roy Bear Salinas, a right-handed reliever who's in high A, and Manny Pena, who's been in the league forever as a catcher. And they also got the number 8 prospect from the Brewers, Estuary Ruiz, who is a utility infielder. So all these guys have played in the major leagues except for Salinas, obviously playing in high A.
Robert is my favorite name.
Yep. Roy Bear, R-O-Y-B. We're going to have to find out the real way.
Well, you did have
Robert. I mean, we are playing off our friend's Cuban friend.
You had. We'll go with Robert. It sounds good. It sounds like we can market that. Robert.
I wonder if it does. I don't think Baseball Reference will have.
He didn't
because he hasn't pitched in the majors yet. Yeah.
Roy
Bear, R-O-Y-B-E-R. Who knows? I mean, we could be saying it wrong anyway.
Does he throw gas?
I don't have the Baseball Savant page on him.
All right. Coming up next, Julian McWilliams, our buddy from the Boston Globe. We weren't able to connect with him. He was supposed to come on late with us in the meetings, but he was dealing with Chaim Bloom. I mean, has anyone had it worse than Chaim Bloom? Wow. We'll talk about the Red Sox. We'll get Julian's take on what's going on with the A's, because obviously he used to cover the A's for the Athletics. That's all coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
The 2022 MLB winter meetings from San Diego are now in the past, and A's Cast Live was all over it.
Well, once again, here from the winter meetings in San Diego.
From the signing of Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge is going back to the Bronx. He's agreed to a 9-year deal worth $360 million.
And Trey Turner.
Trey Turner gets 11 years, $300 million. 11 years.
To the biggest names in the sport.
Chris Russo, the Mad Dog, the great Bob Melvin. Great Samfold right here on A's Cast Live. Torey Lovell, the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, former Oakland Athletic, former A's bench coach. Terry Francona is with us here on A's Cast Live. Billy Owens, assistant general manager for the Oakland Athletics. The great Sarah Langs is with us. David Forrest, the general manager of your Oakland Athletics.
A's Cast Live had you covered at the winter meetings.
That's going to do it live from the winter meetings. I hope everybody enjoyed the coverage. We had a great time. Hopefully you had a great time watching.
If you missed any of the interviews from the 3 days, go to athletics.com/A'sCast to listen or youtube.com/athletics to watch today.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine with your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. chicken-pie-shop.com/spring.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Senior writer for MLB Pipeline Jim Callis stopped by A's Cast Live and discussed the prospects he likes in the A's farm system.
I like Ken Waldichuk. I think he's a little unheralded. I think Tyler Soder, like Shea Langoliers got there this year. I really like Shea Langoliers. I think having Shea Langoliers makes it easier to let Tyler Soderstrom do what he does best, which is hit. And it's always tough when you have a really offensive-minded catcher like Tyler was, where if you catch him, it detracts from his hitting because of the time you have to devote to catching and then the physical toll. So I think they're going to get more out of Tyler Soderstrom's bat.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And RingCentral's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. RingCentral. Message, video, phone, together.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrie locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Flex 10 is back. Get 10 Plaza outfield level ticket vouchers for only $99 for any 2023 regular season home game. Buy your Flex 10 pack now and redeem for any combination of games later. You can use 2 tickets to catch opening day, 4 tickets to watch a fireworks show, and 4 tickets to catch the biggest matchups. The options are endless, so give the gift of baseball this holiday season. Visit athletics.com/fan-values to purchase yours today. That's athletics.com/fan-values.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
One thing that you could definitely be upset about, we haven't even mentioned yet today, getting the 6th pick in the draft. That is just so A's right now. It is. I mean, can't get 1, can't get 2. Hell, I'd take 3. 6? Are you serious? That was rough.
When you had a 16.5% chance of getting it, along with the Nationals and the Pirates. And, hey, who were the top 1 and 2? Pirates and Nationals, and the A's, 6th. I remember getting on the elevator when we were taking our equipment up to drop it off, and I remember someone put it on the elevator, and it was like, what the 6th pick it goes to? The Oakland Athletics. I'm like, are you kidding me?
How is that possible? How is that possible? But you deal with what you're dealt with, and you're getting the 6th pick in the draft. I don't know how Chaim Bloom is surviving in Boston. You're talking about an executive that came over from the Rays. He inherited a 27-year-old Mookie Betts, a 25-year-old Xander Bogaerts, Devers still there. Benintendi isn't. Julian McWilliams from the Boston Globe joins us here on A's Cast Live. Did you get back to Beantown okay?
I did. And turns out Hein Bloom was on my flight. And so, yeah, so that was interesting.
Were you able to grill him for 6 hours?
I got him right before we got on. And, I know that, and I actually wrote about it in the Globe. There's sort of like the inside look of sort of like when they found out, because the news literally broke. We were both like near each other when it happened, when Heyman sent out the tweet. And I knew that they knew that they weren't going to re-sign him. They probably were, the figures are off. But to see Hein standing there, man, I mean, he just looked really, really stunned in terms of like, crap, I got to go back to Boston where it's probably just going to be people lined up just to take their shots at me. It was a very, very like sort of a dramatic sort of scene, it was really, really, really a moment. So it's interesting, man, just to see, the moves that he's made or lack thereof and how it's real. This one just seems to be the nail in the coffin for a lot of Red Sox fans.
Oh, no doubt. I think that's a great way to put it. And I want to let our listeners know that you are going to join us at the end of the winter meetings, kind of wrap up and kind of give Boston a little time, see if they were going to do anything. And you actually met with Hein Bloom, and we couldn't do the interview then. Before you guys get on that plane and they're wrapping up the winter meetings, what were his thoughts?
So it's interesting because the day before that we asked Hein, he said, where are you guys with the Xander talks? Is he still at the at the top of you guys' list? And he says, oh, absolutely. He's our first priority. You want to get this thing done. That was Tuesday. By the time Wednesday came, when we spoke to him in that afternoon, we asked him about, any updates on Xander. And he was really, really short. He said, I'm not going to say anything other than what I said yesterday. And was kind of like sort of, I would guess like just kind of really, really short, seemed a little bit irritated a little bit. I don't know if that's kind of the way he came off. And our thinking was, if you go back to the reports, that the Red Sox and Xander were basically done speaking by the time we spoke with Hein. He came back with his offer and they were like, and Boris was just like, yeah, we can't do business with this. This is just not going to work. So by that time, they knew that Xander was gone. They knew that he's probably going to likely sign with another team. The fact that he got 11 years, $280 million, I think that's an overpay. However, the Red Sox, you can go back to spring training. They lowballed him. They offered him 4 years, $90 million. And if you look at, reports from Alex Spear from the Globe, we talked about Xander, and he probably would have accepted a 6-year, $150 million deal like how Altuve got in Houston during the season. So the fact that they let him go to market, and the fact that now they're up in that price of I think it was 6 for 160, that no longer matched his market value. And so at that point, it was a little bit too much too late. So and Xander ultimately had to move on.
All right, the big question here is we act like these general managers have full control. They do not own the teams. They do not have the checkbook. It's not like they have this checkbook and they get to write whatever check they want to whatever player. The real question has to be, ever since Boston won the World Series, then got rid of Dave Dombrowski, they are now an ownership group that is about acquiring professional sports franchises. I guess they're now going to sell the soccer team Liverpool. But I'm just wondering, do they want to operate the team as a team that's going for it every year like they used to, or are they going with a different approach? And this really isn't on Hein Bloom. This is what's coming down from ownership.
Yeah, I think ownership definitely plays a part on you. You point to a good point. When they got rid of Dave Dombrowski, they were like, okay, this is the guy that sort of, drunk spins in a way, right? I mean, the some of the things that he makes, some of the deals, I mean, he did not have to offer, Chris Sale that extension. You look up and Chris Sale hasn't pitched in 3.5 years or so. So you're looking at an ownership group that, I mean, and granted, we haven't seen John Henry in about 2 years. I mean, the fact that he even showed up for the Mookie press conference, I mean, that was alarming. We hadn't seen him for probably like a year up until that point. So I think you're looking at an ownership group that's really, really trying to operate in a different way. It seems almost as if it's becoming hedge fund baseball. And I think we talked about that last time, is how a lot of these big market teams are getting in situations where they don't want to spend. And I think the Red Sox are getting to that point where, obviously, I'm not going to put it all on Chaim Bloom, but I think the Red Sox ownership was saying, okay, we need to bring in a guy that knows how to sort of get wins within the margins, be able to survive the Tampa Bay Rays way with and we'll give him the bonus, but just a little bit more money. But we don't want to spend like the Phillies. We don't want to spend like the Dodgers. Like the Padres. We want to stay under a luxury tax. We don't want to pay that penalty. We want to keep funds low and keep ticket sales high. That's sort of the formula it's sort of the Yankee formula. If you want to be honest, it's sort of like the formula of okay, let's spend, but let's spend only where we need to spend, and ultimately let's keep the intrigue of fans high. But we're not going to go all in on that one guy that can probably get us over the top, because we don't want to pay that luxury tax. But what we will do is keep our teams competitive enough, keep our fan base intrigued enough to a point where, they can win and possibly get to the playoffs, and they can get the return on their spending throughout the year. But this Chaim situation and where the Red Sox are, it's gone a little bit too far. And I think ownership sort of is looking at that now and saying, okay, we wanted this, but not necessarily this. And because you're looking at two homegrown players and Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts that are gone, and now Rafael Devers is up. His free agency is coming up after next year. And what do you pay him? Do you let him walk? You'll have to pay him probably above market to sort of make up for your mistakes with Xander. It's very, very interesting to see this whole thing unfold.
There is no doubt about that, and it leads me back to last year when there were rumblings that Billy Beane could leave the A's and go work for this Red Sox company that owns all of these properties. And I think baseball fans want to still believe that the baseball world is owned by, you have like what you have in San Diego where Peter Sadler is the owner, or you have Steve Cohen with the Mets as the owner. But a lot of these teams are now owned by groups. And and if I've heard correctly, isn't this ownership group that owns the Red Sox and all these other teams, they're now looking to get into the NFL and they want to buy the Washington Commanders. Is that true?
Yep, and they're trying to expand and possibly buy expansion team in Vegas, for basketball. So, I mean, this is obviously the fact of, they own, they own us. They own the Boston Globe. So they own parts of Nesson.
Yeah.
They have spread their wings so far. And you look around Boston, it's all Fenway Sports Group, all Fenway Sports Group, but they have their hands in everything. And I'm just wondering and curious if it's just too much. You know what I mean? If now the Red Sox aren't their priority, because they have their hands in so much. And I think, just looking at the way things have shaped up for the last 3 years. They made the playoffs last year, but you got to remember they had to come in as a wild card, and they snuck into the playoffs in sort of the last game of the season. Last two series of the season against Baltimore and the Washington Nationals. I think they got swept by Baltimore, and then they won out against the Nationals, and that got them into the playoffs. So, and then they just kind of got hot. But there were always flaws with this team. They lack an ace beyond Xander. They lack an ace. Now they lack the leadership. I know they got an outfielder in Yoshida, but that's not even the top of the conversation anymore. They haven't had a leadoff batter in 4 years since they've gotten rid of Mookie. So there are a lot of flaws on this team, and I think a lot of it stands with bad trades. They thought they were going to get a lot from Jeter Downs. If you look at the trade for Mookie Betts, they got an average player back in Alex Verdugo, and Jeter Downs, who's probably not going to amount to much, and Connor Wong, who's a backup catcher at best. But I think he's sort of this fringe major league guy that sort of toast between AAA and the major leagues whenever they need some new blood in there. So it's they've had a lot of bad trades from the Benintendi's to the Betts, and now just letting Bogarts go just seems to be this franchise's demise, and ultimately we don't know what we're going to get from this team in 2023.
With all these losses, it's really hard to hang your hat on a 5'9" Japanese outfielder with not a lot of power for 5 years, $90 million. This guy may be hell on wheels, but as of right now, wouldn't you say, hard to hang your hat on, this is what you've done in the offseason?
For sure. And I think they said they have more work to do. And granted, Heim is he's just getting dragged in Boston. And this is not a knock on him. I like him, the person. I like him, I think he's always responsive. But the general consensus at winter meetings was, and not the consensus, but the rumblings amongst scouts, amongst front office people, is that he seems a bit in over his head. And he hasn't really proven, can he make the deal that sort of puts this team over the top? He hasn't proved that yet. I mean, I know he's gotten Garrett Whitlock off of, waivers and all that stuff, but he hasn't proven that if he knows how to spend money. These GMs and stuff come from these small markets, but there's a skill that comes with being able to spend money.
Boom.
And I think a lot of times you get a lot of these GMs get paralysis by analysis, and I think that's sort of what what happens with Chaim Bloom. And then he tries to do damage control and make the deal that that sort of it's an overcompensate, or just to try to make up for the deal that he didn't make. And I think you can even put the Yoshida deal in that. Most GMs and scouts are saying that they overpaid him. If you put in the money that it costs to get him, to grant him to come over to the U.S. and play from Japan, that's $15 million, plus the $75 million that they offered him, or some $80 million they offered him. That's $95 million. That's more than you offered Xander Bogaerts in the spring. So, you know what I mean? So it's like,
it's crazy.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
What is really going on here? And this is a guy that's 29 years old. And yes, he's been great in Japan, but obviously this is a different game. You have a proven guy in Xander Bogaerts. And the only thing I can think of is that they just didn't value Xander. Heim just didn't think Xander was that good to be able to pay him. That's the only thing I can think about in terms of his thinking, and why Xander is not in a Red Sox uniform going into 2023, because clearly he wanted to be there.
So you're getting on the plane in San Diego, and I wonder if you felt the way I did, knowing that there was over $2 billion spent while we were in San Diego and a little bit before. When you're getting on that plane, did you feel like anybody really got that much better?
I feel like the Padres certainly got better. I think the Yankees maybe no, not really. Now that you put it like that, no, not really. I think just probably the Padres. That's the only team that's gotten better. I think the winter meetings over the years become such eyewash in certain ways. To be honest, I think it's sort of, I know it's a place where you can make deals, but in the end, it just seems like that it's not. It just doesn't really amount to much. A lot of us are standing around and stuff. So I think the Toronto Blue Jays certainly got better today with their acquisition of Bassett. Obviously, the Braves has gotten better with Sean Murphy stuff. I know you guys are a lot of covering that, but in terms of who got better there, I don't think there's a lot of people that got better at winter meetings. I think it's just sort of become a lot of show in certain aspects.
Well, let's end on this. With little kids, Christmas gets fun again. I got to think you and your wife are really looking forward to this with the young ones. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, especially now that she's starting to, notice things and stuff. It's getting a little bit more cool than her just laying around like a mushroom all day. So, yeah, I'm certainly enjoying this a lot more than the 6 month phase I was in when I talked to you guys last year.
Yeah, everything starts to change. Now you're going to be recording everything. These are the moments that you will live for. Hey, it was great to see you. You look great. Enjoy the holidays, and let's hook up after the holidays, because obviously there will be some more signings in Boston, and we'll find out more about the AL East. But have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you in the new year, my friend.
Sounds good, Tiny. Thanks so much.
The great Julian McWilliams, super guy. Super, super, super guy. Miss him. He was great covering the A's for The Athletic. But, man, I mean, crazy. Think about what I just said. Over $2 billion are spent, and I kind of go, who got better? Who really, got better? Because a lot of what you had was, Judge is you just didn't lose him. DeGrom leaving, you just replaced DeGrom with Verlander. I mean, yeah, okay, Trey Turner. Okay, Xander Bogaerts. Hey, but who do you like? No one walked out of San Diego going, man, those guys crushed it. They got so much better. They got X, Y, and Z.
I mean, the Mets spent, taking it back, the Mets spent a lot of money. I know
Diaz was already there.
But they brought
Nimmo was already there. You're
Robertson, and they brought Senga in, the pitcher from Japan.
But that wasn't while we were there.
No, yeah, it was a couple of days. It was.
I'm saying while we were there.
Oh, yeah, it was just Verlander.
Yeah, I mean, it was and even Nimmo, you're just bringing your guy back. So I'm saying when we were in San Diego, over $2 billion from the start to the end of the winter meetings, there's over $2 billion, and you're wondering, who got better? Who really got better?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
and I sent you a whole list.
I remember it's a 20 out of 30 team.
Can you carry this for 1 second?
Yeah, the list, I can pull it up if you need me to pull it up. The list was because we were sending a lot of stuff back and forth between the few days. You told me that teams have basically done nothing. 4 teams in the AL East, 4 in the Central, 2 in the West, 3 in the East, 3 in the NL Central, 4 in the NL West. So 20 out of 30. The one team in the NL West that would have done anything would have been the Padres with Xander Bogaerts, and we know how that deal could or could not work out with 11 years, $280 million. You add him, you probably move Tatis to the outfield, and you have Kim play second base. So the Padres, you could say, maybe got better. They lost Sean Manaea, which we haven't brought up yet. Manaea is now a San Francisco Giant, which is interesting. 2 years, $25 million. Apparently, there's a reported opt-out after the 2023 season. So you look, that's $12.5 million for Manaea, who had an ERA just under 5 last year. It was at 4.96. So the Padres need to replace him in their rotation, but they have Musgrove and the rest of their staff still pretty much there. But yeah, the 20 out of the 30 was that's fairly spot on. I mean,
do you like that list I sent you?
I can't defend the Pirates because they only signed Santana. So when you looked at the
1 year
Central
deal, that's I mean the A's, who the A's picked up while we were there. Yeah, okay, but I mean we're talking about got better. You got better. Who got better? So I went through the standings last night, and I went through transactions, and I said, you know what? You could at least say 20 out of the 30 did. 20 out of the 30 teams. There's teams that have done nothing.
The Reds haven't signed anyone.
So I said after that CBA, and I know no one wanted to listen to it then. If you remember correctly, Cody, I said after the CBA was done, this is not great. It's not great for baseball. You're gonna increase the have-nots versus the haves. And this winter meetings showed it big time.
So I'm just looking at your list. In the AL East, are we saying the Yankees are the only team that got better? Or can we put Toronto in there now with Bassett?
Well, this is you can't count that after my list is sent.
You said 4. You said 4 of the teams in the AL
Yeah,
East.
The Yankees are the only team that did anything.
Yeah, okay. So Boston ultimately got worse. Tampa Bay has lost some guys.
To Baltimore. When is this?
Yeah, Michael Elias said earlier, no relation. Michael Elias said earlier this year that they were going to spend this offseason.
I heard the day after we got back, Mike Elias was on with the 3 GMs on Sirius XM. Dan Duquette, Steve Phillips, and Jim Bowden. And Mike Elias basically was still playing the tune. We're not going to do anything to hurt the young guys coming forward. And they're like, well, you're kind of on the come here to win now, right?
Yeah.
And he's still talking future. It's like, well, when do you want to do it? When are you going to, I mean, that's the thing about free agents. You don't have to give up any of these prospects. Are you going to buy some people? Yeah. So I had four teams in the AL East. Now Bassett, obviously, I think is great now, but I sent this list out last night.
Yeah. By the way, the A's have made it official on Twitter. The trade is official. So we always wait for that from the team to send it out. Athletics Communications to send it out.
The A's have gotten better, but I'm not going to go crazy. And, oh my God, they've gotten so much better. I'm not going to do that.
I mean, it's nice adding Aletmus Diaz and Jace Peterson and Chad Smith, who throws hard, but we'll see how that helps. So in the AL Central, you have 4. Who did anything? Cleveland got Josh Bell.
That's it.
So I mean,
White Sox, nothing. Twins, nothing. Royals, the AL Central, nothing.
The AL West,
a lot of movement in the AL West.
Yeah,
and this was hard because, like the Astros, you go, oh, Abreu, but yet they lost Verlander. But I had to give them that they brought in Abreu. But in the West, you look. I mean, the Angels have done some things. We've done some things, but they're not dramatic. They're not crazy.
Who'd Seattle get? Seattle acquired.
Seattle's really done nothing.
They got the trade. It wasn't the winter meetings with it before, but they did the trade with Milwaukee. No, not Milwaukee. Who they traded the outfielder Winker somewhere, but let me look at the trade.
Oh, Teoscar Hernandez they got from Toronto.
Yeah, but I think they didn't send Winker there. They sent.
Oh, that's right. Winker
got traded
to the Brewers.
It was, but I couldn't remember Colton Wong.
Oh, yeah. Colton Wong.
Well, they got better defensively, maybe.
Stop it.
And Teoscar Hernandez is a nice player. But, I mean, they did something. But, the Angels added some guys. So
National League West? I mean, what? The
Dodgers haven't. Whoa. Don't you dare complain. They signed Shelby Miller to a.
You're hurting the argument here. Sean Manaea to the Giants?
I was just bringing that up while you went inside. 2 for 25. That's 12.5 a year for a guy that had an ERA just under 5 last year.
A guy that the Padres couldn't pitch anymore.
Yeah, he couldn't. And he was awful versus the Dodgers.
Padres couldn't pitch him anymore. They stopped. I mean, as much as Bob Melvin loves him, they couldn't pitch him anymore. D-backs, there's been some trades, but not much. I mean, Rockies.
They haven't done anything.
I mean, it's really been the Padres. That's it. There's 4 teams. I had 4 teams in the West. They haven't done anything. I mean, you got 20 of the 30 teams. You could really say, what have they done? And getting back to Julian's point, which is a great point, and we'll see what Eno has to say about this, is ownership in baseball is changing. Just is. Little by little, it's happened over the years where ownership groups buy teams. It's not one family. It's not one person. It's ownership groups. So if you look at the Guggenheim Group that owns the Dodgers, or you look at Fenway Sports, as he was just talking about with the Boston Red Sox, they've got Liverpool in soccer. They've got the Pittsburgh Penguins. They want to buy the Commanders. They're into, I believe they're into auto racing too. They're in all these different. They're a company. It's like Disney. Disney's got parks. Disney's got merch. Disney's got movies. Disney's got all kinds of. Disney's all over. Disney owns ESPN. Disney's hands and far reaches into everything. And that's kind of what you're getting into now. You're getting into groups by the team, and what do groups want? Groups want money. That's what corporations want. They want money. So when you're sitting there going, well, you know what? If we spent for this guy and we went over the luxury tax and win this, but we're going to win. A lot of these groups go, where's the money?
Real quick to add on, there was another move made by the A's. To clear space on the roster, the A's designated infielder Vimael Machine for assignment. So he actually wasn't that bad last year defensively. He was actually fun to watch at third base. Didn't hit that great, but in a year of discoveries, we termed it, which I think we can use again this year.
No.
We got to find something new.
I'll come up with something new. You guys all ran with my year of discovery, and then some people try to throw it in my face. I will come up with another one. I guarantee you that.
But Vimael Machine was designated for assignment.
Vimael Machine came up and joined us in the treehouse.
Correct.
Nice guy. Nice guy. I like Vimael, but he's not the answer.
No, and he was getting up there in age as well. So the trade is official. A's acquire 5 players, send Sean Murphy to the Braves, and Joel Payamps, we hardly knew yet, to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Interesting stuff. Our sports is getting interesting. And you just wonder, and I'm not going to have Eno get into this. I'm just going to say this real quick. I just kind of warn that the money where it's going is obviously the teams got it. Obviously the players want it. I just don't know how much the fans like it. I mean, you're really getting into, we were going to start the show today. It's a great article today, and actually it was yesterday from ESPN.com. Just remarks from front office people. Here's one from a general manager. Holy S-bomb. I'm totally speechless. That's what he said about the winter meetings. Yeah, when you're giving out 11-year contracts for $300 million, $280 million, you start thinking about the kind of money that's going to humans to play sports. It's hopefully not going to be a major turnoff to fans. I hope not. I mean, because it really, it's getting to where, and I understand where the players have always said we're the product, right? But they view themselves as the players. Well, it's these individuals that are getting the money, and they're not worth it, and they can never physically live up to these deals. So you're giving away money just to give away money. Well, the owners are making so much. Well, this might be the one time I'm on the side of ownership. They bought the business. We all work for businesses. What do we want our businesses to do? We want our businesses to be successful, because then they pay us, the employees, right? Or if you own a business, your goal is to make as much money as possible. Somehow along the way, the players have said, wait a minute, but we're the product. Well, players are the product, but the players are a revolving door. We're now making this not about the revolving door as the players. You're making this about individuals making money. That's crazy. Yes, players are the product, but there's 26 players for 30 teams. That's the deal. You individuals making all this money is literally ridiculous. I'm paying starters $40 million. I'm paying starters over, if they can even get 30 starts, I'm still paying them over $1 million a start. If, as we established earlier today, is a big word, if. I mean, it's crazy. These guys, the agents have done a great job in the negotiations, and always that threat. They should have let them walk years ago when they had the strike, and they should have got a salary cap, because these numbers are just, nobody's worth this kind of money. You're just not worth this kind of money. And if the owners are here to make a lot of money, well, they bought the businesses. It's their right. Paying the employees this percentage of the money, like Jacob deGrom getting this kind of money, Nemo getting this kind of money for his 16 home runs, Xander Bogaerts, his year last year, and he's getting 280. It's crazy.
My friends and I always talk about this, but we look at it, they bring it up when we talk about like NFL and NBA contracts, because we've always known baseball contracts were always way more. But you look at the NBA contracts now, I mean,
but they're capped.
Yeah, we look at like I hate to bring him up, but he's a good example for when he gets older, but he's still playing at a high level. Like Steph Curry, when the last year of his deal is going to make like 57 or 58 million.
Cap though. It's based off the revenue. It's based off the cap.
Plus they have a TV. The TV deal is way different.
Doesn't matter. It's based off the revenue of the league with the players. There's a cap. You can't pay Steph Curry $300 million.
No, true.
Can't do it.
Trey
Turner has a better contract than Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a 4-time NBA champion. He's a 2-time MVP, and Trey Turner makes more money than he does. That's what I'm talking about. This stuff's crazy.
This would the spending that we saw at the winter meetings would be a good start if there was a salary floor you had to reach. These teams are spending money. Like a team like
us.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We got to call it as you say it. Yeah.
Say the salary floor was, I don't know, we'll say $80 million. We had to spend money to get to 80. So if you offer Trey Turner that kind of money, okay, it's a little more justified because you're trying to get to that $80 million. But when you're the Phillies, you don't need to throw out another $300 million contract when you don't need to. I get it. John Middleton, the owner, wants to win. They won the World Series. Like, I get it, but right now, how many owners can we say in baseball are actively, like, there's what, 3 maybe?
Well, this was the biggest thing that wasn't really reported about the lockout was the disparity and the agreement between the biggest owners and the smaller owners. I can tell you right now, the smaller owners were not thrilled with this deal. And that got reported after, but no one wanted to talk about that. People only wanted to talk about, hey, we're getting back on the field and players are getting more money and the players won and owners were getting more money. I've told you the owners won that deal. It's a joke. Anybody who does, they don't understand business if they think the players won the last CBA. But there's a disparity between the owners. And I just wonder, and something that I'll throw out, you probably haven't heard, and I have no problem throwing stuff out. Do I have a problem throwing stuff out there?
No.
Being a maverick?
So that's a good term.
I'm not talking Top Gun.
I literally was going to say Top Gun. Or Dallas Mavericks, or Mark Cuban.
Jerry Jones, who learned from Al Davis. Al Davis, the original NFL Maverick. I think the San Diego thing's going to go horribly wrong. Peter Seidler, who I believe has battled cancer multiple times. He's a billionaire who owns the Padres. And he has said you can't take your wealth to the grave. So he wants to bring a winner to San Diego. I have a feeling what we are going to see is the San Diego Padres are spending so much beyond their means that this is going into personal wealth of Peter Seidler. It says, right, he's the owner. Once again, he's the owner. But what it's showing, though, is that for these smaller market teams to spend like the big market teams, they have to go into potential financial crisis. You have to start spending beyond the organization's money to go into personal wealth to make it happen. Now, some people would say, well, that's what being a sportsman is. It's bad business. But what it shows is the disparity. See, the big market clubs they don't want a salary cap either. The big market clubs don't want that. The big market clubs want to. New York, you got to remember, the A's back in the late 80s, early 90s had one of, if not the highest payroll in baseball. We'll never see that again. Kansas City was up there. We'll never see that again. New York always wants to be able to outspend Kansas City and Oakland and Miami and blah, 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 right? That's what they want. They want to be able to do that. They want to keep the smaller guys. But what this is going to show in San Diego, if this goes horribly wrong, this is going to show that the smaller owners, or I should say the smaller market owners, are going to be able to look at baseball and look at their business partners, which is the other ownership groups, and say, listen, here's proof. San Diego had to go into financial crisis, which they could. They really could. And when next thing you know, to save their financial crisis, the guy's got to sell the team. And this could be the start of having a legit conversation. And I know this gets back to the antitrust deal and not having to share financials and that kind of stuff. But at some point, if, we're only 1 year into this CBA. We got 4 years left. If we have 4 more winter meetings like this, the disparity between the highs and the lows in baseball, between franchises, the have and the have-nots, is going to be insane. And could this be the start of actually having to look into and look at the players? The players are going to fight. Everybody will fight it like hell, but seems to be working in the NFL and the NBA and hockey.
The wildest thing that, we
salary cap, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about what the Mets are doing. Apparently, from what I've read over the weekend, their current payroll is around $330 million. After this tax and the luxury tax, it could be $398 million is what they're going to have at the end of the year next year. How is that good for the sport when you have teams like Oakland, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay that are going to come nowhere near that combined? And it'll be even worse if the Mets don't win next year. You're spending all that money not to win. We'd say that with the Yankees and other teams too, but to me, I've never been a big, I think more of a salary floor than a salary cap for sure. But I mean, when Steve Cohen, the 38th richest man in America, according to Ken Rosenthal's piece, and he's worth $17.5 billion, can spend like this, I mean, how's that fair to the sport? And then we're always going to talk about that, but that's where I think the salary floor, setting it between what, $80 and $100 million, could actually help the sport a lot. Because I mean, hockey has a salary cap, but all the teams spend right around the same amount of money. I know some teams are spend a little less more than others do, but all these other sports have figured it out. I wish baseball would figure it out. I'm never going to sit here and cry for the salary cap, but I think the floor really would help the sport. And I don't think we're anywhere near getting that floor that some people want.
I just want to give you an idea of the kind of money we're talking about, which this is hard to believe. And I'm just going to read you this article. This is coming from the LA Times. This is unbelievably, laughably untrue. Oh, wait a minute. It's crashing on me. Crashed on me. Got to go back. It's the debt that California is now getting into. New York. I mean, these states are, the kind of debt that states are getting into. I mean, you look at, you're spending billions of dollars on players. Now, these are private businesses, but it's just like you start looking at debt and cities and baseball players are.
I was looking at the list that you had up like that, and it's just on your never would have thought Illinois was one of the highest debt states in the country.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, we're talking. We had 3 big mayor's races in California: LA, San Jose, and Oakland. And the 2 main things were crime / guns, and homelessness, right?
Correct.
But yet we're giving baseball players 11 years, $330 million, $300 million, $330 million, $360 million, $435 million to one guy to play in a baseball game, playing baseball games for 6 months. It's crazy. The money is just. And I don't want to harp on it too much, but this was one of the big takeaways and the articles that are coming out. As I said, it was on ESPN where, just names of guys. You had, Montero, the reliever for the Astros, and Suarez, the reliever for the Padres. These guys aren't even closers, and combined, they got $80.5 million.
I'd say they were close to 80, which is ridiculous.
$80.5 million for 2 guys who are not even closers.
Daniel Robertson got 10 for 1 year, or not David Robertson got 10 for 1 year, and he's not a closer. It's just insane. Those deals are, it wasn't Montero negotiated by Crane too, so it's just wild that what non-closers are getting and a lot of these players are getting. I mean, before, I think there was a point in here. I think it was on an ESPN article about, for this from Ken Rosenthal's piece over the weekend. 16% of free agents who signed contracts of $50 million or more from 2006 to 2021 stayed with their clubs. 16% of those guys ended up staying with their team.
California's debt as of 2021, $143.73 billion, and expected to increase by 2027 to $188.54.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's just, oh my God. But in the end, you got to respect the teams that are going for it. You know what? I'm happy we're just not sitting here talking about no moves.
Yeah. Again, like I bring this up all the time. Can you imagine it was offseason with Manny and Harper and we had to wait till February?
How about, I got the latest rumors here. Of course, correct. By the way, is this the second straight year we're having to constantly be like the hook about Carlos Correa? I keep saying it. Everybody talks about how Correa this, Correa that. Never got the deal that he was looking for last year. And here we are again this year. We're going through the same song and dance. It's the same. When will the Correa market heat up? Well, I thought it's been heated for weeks.
Years, actually.
What is, if this guy is such the greatest thing, the most hell on wheels player you got to have, what is, and you can say, hey, he's a Boris Klein. Hey, the other guys have signed. You don't think if you offered Carlos Correa 11 years, $300 million, he would have signed by now?
Oh, yeah.
He signs the Trey Turner deal.
Yeah. There's a rumor out there from
so the bottom line is he hasn't been given it.
There's a rumor out there from The Athletic. I think it's Aaron Gleeman who covers the Twins, that the Twins have a massive contract offer out there for Correa.
How massive?
It didn't have the details. It just said massive.
Yeah, no one gives details on Correa.
So, but apparently the two teams in on him as the market heats up, as you like to say, or the,
oh my God, 2 years in a row we've dealt with this.
Or the San Francisco Giants and the Minnesota Twins. Apparently.
Do we have Eno coming on?
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to pop up here.
But like I saw when you're looking at people who potentially could be moved, it looks like the Marlins are looking to move some pitchers potentially. They've got Pablo Lopez and Trevor Rogers. You've got, Murph was a part of these rumors. He got moved today. There's an excess of catchers for the Toronto Blue Jays they could move. Brian Reynolds.
Apparently the Pirates they want the Juan Soto package for Brian Reynolds.
What?
That's one of the things I was reading, that they want a Juan Soto-like package.
I wouldn't even give that up for Eno Sarris, and you know how great he is. Do we have the man? Do we have the man's open, for God's sakes?
The Eno Sarris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
In the last 2 years, if we went and looked at every title of every
How about now? Try that.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. So I was asking you the question, trying to make a little joke of the Carlos Correa. I mean, every single day for the last 2 off seasons is market's heating up. Offers are going to come in, blah, blah, blah. I mean, how many times have you could just guess on all the different websites, all the different rumors we've heard, things are heating up for Carlos Correa?
Yeah, I mean, he's holding out. He wants to milk the most out of his this is his time. I mean, as a 28-year-old, he's the youngest of the 4 shortstops that's out there. He also has the best patience and the best power. He also might be the one to move off the soonest off of shortstop. But at 28, you figure you still at least have 2 or 3 more years of him at shortstop. So I think he did the 1-year deal thing last year, and this year he wants to get the best deal he can get. And I guess if there is some disconnect between the market and what's happening and why he hasn't signed yet, is that when you give someone the $300 million package, you're kind of making them the de facto leader in your clubhouse. So maybe there's just some, feeling from teams from 2017 from the cheating scandal, or, just some worry about making him the sort of de facto leader in the clubhouse with this mega deal that you'd be giving him.
Yeah, I don't know about the taxes with the Dodgers and all of that, and they still got to figure out what's going to happen with Trevor Bauer for their taxes. But
they came out and said, we're not into it.
That their fans don't like him. They don't like him really. It's so weird, because I would bet if you offered him 11 years, $300 million, the Trey Turner deal, he'd be signed.
Yeah, I think that's where he's headed. Although you never know if he needs to beat it by 10 cents. The whole thing, that went down with Max Scherzer, people were like, can Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander be on the same team? I'm like, yeah, if you give Justin Verlander 10 cents more per year. I mean, literally, I'm sure those contracts break down so that Verlander gets 10 cents more. That's how competitive these guys are.
Do they need to bring back any other 2013 Tigers to join them there?
to mediate, to stand between them. Starting pitchers, though, they don't have to interact that often. They just got to come in every 5 days. They got to do their work. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, there's going to be something coming with Correa eventually.
So this came down, Sean Murphy, the trade that involved two other teams, the Braves and the Brewers. How do you feel the A's did, and how do you feel about the trade?
I think that the A's, it's their biggest strength and maybe their biggest weakness is that they really like projectable, safer prospects. They like someone who's close to the big leagues, who will play. They like to plug in guys who will play. They like to get AA, AAA. They don't really like to get the 17-year-old in A ball. And so the way that helps them is that next year they will have a representative team. I mean, they will put people out there that know how to play baseball. They'll put Esteury Ruiz out there, and he will be a good outfielder defensively. And the rest of the game is really a question mark in terms of, how much power will he have? He had one of the lowest hard hit rates in the minors, and how the on-base percentage will translate if he doesn't really have that power or elite contact. So I think there's a lot of questions about him as a player. I think he could easily end up as a fourth outfielder. And I think that the A's evaluation of him was higher than the market. I think that's sort of what's happening on Twitter. And that's how I see it myself. At the same time, it's not, they're going to have to wait 4 years for him. Like they're going to plug him in next year. And that's something that they do often. Like, why would any other team ask for Manny Pena back in this trade? But they were like, here's a veteran that we can put behind Shea that's going to play at catcher next year. And he's worth the 3-4 million he's paid. And so let's put him on our team. So that's a strength and a weakness embodied in this trade, I think.
What about the big lefty Muller?
He has really good breaking balls that he can command and a good changeup. So I like his secondary pitches. He has not shown the ability to command the fastball, and the fastball may have a bad shape. So a player that has some really good strengths and some weaknesses. And people say, oh, he was the Braves' #1 prospect on the list. I don't think that's being fair. The Braves have graduated most of their prospects, and what's left is not, if their #1 prospect is not everybody else's #1 prospect. He's somebody that's, would be somewhere in the 110 to 120th ranked prospect in the game.
So I've heard the deal being given a C. What grade would you give it?
I mean, honestly, I think the Brewers get an A. They turned Ruiz into Wilson Contreras, and that's an offensive catcher. He's going to be one of their best hitters right away. The Braves, I think, get like a B because they had a pretty good catcher, but Sean Murphy is, we all know how excellent he is. He was just an amazing, hardworking guy that knows how to frame, knows how to hit. He's just a real professional, top 3-4 type catcher in the game. So maybe they get an A for that. I might be lower than a C on this for the A's. I just I see question marks on every guy that they got. And, if you're going to get guys that are close to the big leagues, I would like fewer question marks. So maybe that's just not how you get it. Maybe you have to either get them close to the big leagues or get fewer question marks on a 17-year-old. I don't know. Maybe you can't get everything. But when you're trading Sean Murphy, it's 3 years of a top 3 catcher in the big leagues. I feel like you should come away with a shining jewel. And I think for the A's, Esteury Ruiz is that, but he isn't for me.
All right. What do you think it does for the pitching staff, though? Bringing in guys that give you a chance to be in the big leagues this coming season.
Well, I mean, one thing that you will have in the outfield for the A's are some really good running speeds. I mean, if you go Pache, Ruiz, Laureano out there, they are going to run it down. They are going to run it down. They are going to run real fast, and they're going to pick it for you. So that does help you. And, for what it's worth, I am in the tank for Shea Langeliers. Like, I really enjoyed talking to him this last year. I think he has a really good head on his shoulders. And I think they just, maybe part of this is they believe in him. And from what I've gathered from talking to him, I believe in him. He's going to strike out a little bit more than Sean Murphy, though. So I don't know if he's going to be the same force offensively behind the plate.
My thing with Murph is he's never, to me, going to be that guy that you'd build your lineup around. He'll look great in the lineup, down in the lineup for the Atlanta Braves. For the A's, trying to hit third or fourth full time, just never.
I just think it was a lot for him. I mean, I saw him pregame, and he almost sometimes looks exhausted because he had to do everything. he would have been the everything guy for the A's. And I think you're right. Maybe that's a lot to ask of your catcher. I mean, you're putting him out there 650 plate appearances. That's a lot for a catcher, because he's got to do all three. He's got to know everything in all three phases of the game, and that's how he treated
him out quick.
Yeah. I saw a little bit of that where he was working really hard.
And then all of a sudden you look and it's 17, 18 home runs. And you're like looking at it's like, it's to me, unless you have someone so gifted like a Mike Piazza or Pudge Rodriguez, it is so hard to build your lineup around a catcher.
Yeah. I was hoping that in this trade they would get a guy that I'd be like, oh, that's someone I'd build my lineup around. And I don't think Ruiz has that sort of power,
Are those days kind of done? I mean, because you look at the meetings, we're down there and everything. The way these front offices are built, everybody has the same numbers. Everybody has the same beliefs. Nobody wants to give prospects up anymore. They rather pay huge dollars in free agency. We're just not seeing those trades.
Yeah, I suppose it's true because I think what everybody wanted was Vaughn Grissom, for the A's. Once this started breaking down, they said, oh, they need some help up the middle. Vaughn Grissom for Sean Murphy. That sounds about right. Maybe the Braves weren't anywhere close to giving up Vaughn Grissom, because here's a guy who's played in the major leagues and they think can play for them next year, and he plays up the middle on the infield. Maybe that's just wasn't going to happen. And I think it's a fair point. When you're talking about the top 5 prospects around the game, maybe the Yankees weren't going to give up like a Jason Dominguez or whatever these top guys are. Maybe they're just not going to get traded.
Well, and then, I was listening the day after we got back, I was listening to Mike Elias talk about, what they're trying to do there in Baltimore. And he's still talking about future. He was on Sirius XM with Steve Phillips, Jim Bowden, and Jim Duquette, all 3 former GMs. They were all kind of like, hey, Mike, your time's kind of now, right? You're ready to win. You're ready to battle the guys in the NL East. He's like, well, we still have growth and we don't want to deal with our prospects. So it's, a lot of these guys, they are going to hold on to these prospects no matter what.
Yeah, and it's a little surprising that the Orioles, he kind of talked about not going past 3 years or something, not doing these big deals. And it's a little surprising because I think if the Padres have done something right in the recent years, I think one of the main things you can point to is the signing of Manny Machado. And then that signing came a little bit early for them in terms of winning, that came before they had made the playoffs. And some people thought it was a lot of money for a guy that, did he have the leadership skills to
character issues, we like to call
it. Yeah. So kind of in this Carlos Correa moment, right? Isn't there like a little bit of a parallel to Carlos Correa where it's like, here's a guy who's going to get big money that people wonder if this is the right move, Yeah. And what could it do for the Orioles to get in there and get Carlos Correa for $300 million and just plug a guy in on that infield and just makes everybody better over time, and all that takes pressure off of the Gunnar Henderson types and all these guys that have to come up, and you have a star, and then the second star is easier to sign because you already have Carlos Correa over there, and they say, oh, I believe you. I believe you're going to try and put a good team together. Now what they have to do is they have to win for a bunch of years to convince anybody to take their money. You know what I mean? Because at this point, we've seen it with Trey Turner. We've seen it with a lot of these guys. At some point, you have deals in front of you that are very similar. So at some point, Trey Turner realized, I've got 2 or 3 $300 million deals on the table. I can choose. And he chose the Phillies. That's not that weird. They were just in the World Series. It makes a lot of sense. They've already paid a lot for other guys. They have another $300 million guy. Trey Turner doesn't even have to be the number 1 guy, So he chose what he chose. Aaron Judge at some point probably realized that he had somewhere between 350 and 400 million on the table. Did he want to squeeze every single dime out of it and go back to the Giants, or did he want to stay where he was comfortable and take the 360? So it is hard sometimes to sign these big deals, and maybe he's just covering his ass because nobody was actually going to take any of the Orioles' money unless they overpaid significantly.
So you start looking around baseball. I did it last night. I went through divisions. I went, look how many teams have either done just a little bit or nothing at all. It vastly outweighs the teams that have done something. So now that you're back from the winter meetings, finally Bassett today goes to Blue Jays. Okay, Blue Jays. But there's a lot of teams that have done very little or nothing at all. And some are even big market teams. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays signed their biggest free agent deal ever, and it's been their only move basically. Signing Zach Eflin, kind of a fourth or fifth starter to a 3-year, $40 million deal. So, there are these weird things where everyone's trying to stay true to their market and make smart deals and stuff. And the Tigers are out here and they made one deal, 1 year, $10 million to Matthew Boyd. It's so weird to have, the Rockies have signed one player, Jose Urena, for $3.5 million. So
how your Marlins and Royals doing?
Yeah, I don't even see anything on that.
Wait a minute. Dodgers got Shelby Miller and Justin Hayward.
Jason Hayward and well, Clayton, the guy named Clayton Kershaw re-signed, but
that didn't count. You're re-signing your own. They haven't made any deals. That's why I don't even look at it. I mean, Canely obviously with the Yankees, but them re-signing Judge, you're just retaining your guy.
I kind of buy that the Dodgers might be eyeing Shohei Ohtani next year. Because the Yankees have done this before too, where they kind of reset. They want to stay under the cap for a year and reset all those penalties and then go back at it in the next year. So I could see the Dodgers looking at this as a reset, and they're going to go get Ohtani next year. But I do wonder, I like that Cleveland today signed Josh Bell, because there's a team that was in it and won their division and has a lot of young talent and has spent more money in the past. Why don't they do more mid-level deals and get some get some small deals in there, get some sort of mid-tier guys in there to help all their young guys? And so I think the Josh Bell signing is something that more teams should do more of. And in general, I think there should be more movement. What's going to happen that will help a little bit is once the free agents are settled, once more of the names are signed, then we'll get all those trades that we haven't been getting. I mean, it's been a really lackluster trade market so far. Today was probably the biggest trade of the offseason. And I think we'll have more of that once people realize, I'm not getting one of these top shortstops, or all the starting pitchers off the board. I better start talking to the Marlins or whatever it is,
So Rodon was looked at as a Blue Jay. Bassett signs with the Blue Jays. We've heard New York. Obviously, he was in San Francisco. That was kind of the big dilemma for me. As we watched you walk out of the winter meetings, I was watching the Giants people walk out basically even before you, some of them. And I remember running into Bobby Evans, former GM of the Giants, and said, "Hey, Bobby, when your PR is getting out of here that fast, you're pretty much done, right?" He said, "Yeah." So it's like the Giants went to San Diego to land Judge, didn't get him, and then they bolted out of town. Where are you with? They had all this money. They got Manaea today. I know you tweeted about Manaea. Where are you on the San Francisco Giants in their offseason?
I mean, they're the team that needed to do very different than they're having like a Cleveland offseason. They really needed to have a Yankee or Dodger offseason. You know what I mean? Like, they really needed the Judge signing, I think. Mitch Haniger and Sean Manaea are the types of players that, smaller market teams could steal from the big market teams. The Giants need to act like a big market team. I'm surprised they're not in it for Rodon, but I guess they've already shown that they want to be shorter deal guys for their pitchers. Sean Manaea 2 years, Rodon when he first came in, year with an opt out. So that's how they were going to be on pitchers. There is still a big hitter on the market. Carlos Correa, I think, would make a lot of sense for the Giants because they're weak up the middle.
The headline: market's heating up for Correa.
but the Giants need a star, and I thought something like maybe if they didn't get Judge, a Correa Nimmo project would go well, but Nimmo went for about $60 million more than he was projected for at Fangraphs, so maybe that price got too high. But there's really only one position player that I want still on the market that could move the needle for the Giants, and that's Carlos Correa. Because to me, Dansby Swanson is the kind of guy where you give him $250 million, $220 million. You say, I didn't spend $300 million. Well, you didn't get a $300 million player either. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, he's clearly the fourth best shortstop among these. And I think he'll be at second base in 2 years, and he doesn't really have the power or patience or contact ability to kind of float an offensive friendly profile.
Who plays the longest at short?
Well, Correa is 28, so I'll give it to Correa. But if
you had him off short not too long though.
Right. So if you're saying like longest from now, I'll say Correa just because he's the youngest, right? But if you mean
how long, what are you going to give him?
Like 30, 31, right? But like Trey Turner's already 30, so that might be 2-3 years for Correa. I think in terms of who stays the longest according to their age, it's Turner because he's got the best legs.
Turner will be at shortstop till the age of what?
Like 32?
Oh, God.
That's like 2 years. Hey, like, listen, like this might sound crazy, and you're like, oh my God, they just signed him for 11 years. And, this guy's saying that, he's going to, that he's not going to be at shortstop past 2 more years. Well, just to give you an idea of like, how age relates to shortstops this year, I'm just looking at shortstops this year, qualified shortstops. There was Elvis Andrus at 33. I don't think anybody thought he would make it through the year as a starting shortstop. I mean, he had kind of a resurgent year, and I doubt anybody signs him next year to be a full-time starting shortstop. So he's done at 33 as a full-time starting shortstop. Can we maybe agree? Even if he has another deal? I mean, you're not signing him to be your starting shortstop at this point. The other one is Miguel Rojas at 33, probably already on his way out a little bit. The other one is Kyle Farmer. I don't even know if he was a starting shortstop. Nobody else did it. Nobody.
Where will you get value at a Turner when he's 38?
He has the best legs, center. So he'll go, I think, from short to center. And then I do think it's going to be a little bit weird. It's going to be weird. At 38, I don't know what it's going to look like. Because how many guys had good legs, okay power, not elite contact? Like, if everything goes right, Ricky, there's something similar to Ricky.
Oof.
Right?
That's a rough comparison, but okay. What about Xander? What are you going to do with Xander?
No, I mean, no, that's a best case scenario. Yes, it's a rough comparison. Like, he's probably not Ricky, but it's similar. It's a guy who can steal a lot of bases, has really good legs, and has more power than you expect.
Where do you got Xander at 38? Surfing in Mission Beach?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, he doesn't do the things that, like, I would say DH or first, right? Because he's going to go to third, and then he's not going to be an outfielder. He doesn't really have the legs for it. So he's going to go from third to first. That's how it goes. And then he doesn't have that, like, he doesn't do what Correa does, which is like wait for his pitch and barrel it, right? He's more of kind of a hit tool guy. So what are you going to do with a first baseman DH who's 38, who can hit you 270 with like 15 homers and doesn't really have any speed? I think part-time DH first baseman.
Yeah, we just have to come to grips that they're signing these to 11-year deals to help them with the salary cap, and they know that year 9, 10, 11 are going to be a wash.
They might not even be on the roster.
Yeah. You're not. I mean, so the move to third to first, center to these guys.
Well, that's happening in the 30s. So I don't know what happens in the late 30s. Probably off the roster at some point. Yes.
I mean, that's crazy. Rodon, where does he go? Back to the Giants?
I don't know. I think the Yankees maybe.
Because is he the last big, other than Correa, the last big fish we've been talking about?
Yeah. Those are the two big fish. And behind Rodon, in terms of the best starting pitchers, you're talking about Ross Stripling and Corey Kluber already. So it is a sort of last chance saloon, a little bit, end of the night at the bar for starting pitcher market. If you're looking at Carlos Correa, at least you can say, well, there's Dansby Swanson behind him, Andrew Benintendi, Brandon Drury. I don't know. It's getting thin there too, but there's always at least there's Dansby Swanson crowd.
I wanted to find out what you were hearing in San Diego about the Padres, because it sounded like there's people that are worried, like they are spending well beyond their means. Does this now go into the personal wealth of the owner? Fans don't care, but whenever you start doing that and things, you don't win, and you don't win consecutively, things can. We've seen things go bad in baseball. We saw things go bad for Frank McCourt and the Los Angeles Dodgers. We've seen certain things just go sideways. What were the concerns you were hearing about just the money that the Padres were throwing around at the time?
I mean, everybody's asking about it. I guess a nicer way of looking at it is they're only a little bit into the first level of the luxury tax right now at $235 million. If things went wrong and then you wanted to reset, Blake Snell and Yu Darvish come off the market, off of their payrolls next year, $35 million. Drew Pomerantz, $45 million. So $45 million will come off. If they really need to reset and get under the luxury tax, they can do it. So they're not into funny money Steve Cohen territory yet. That guy has a $340 million payroll, which will cost him almost $400 million because of the taxes. So that's like a whole nother territory. And if you wanted to ask, you could say, well, yeah, Steve Cohen has the money to do that. I don't think Peter Seidler has that kind of money. At the same time, people were talking about it, and it was something that we talked about at the bar, and we talked about when you're talking about how the Padres doing this. And I don't know, it's one of the things, I don't know if it's fair to speculate like this, but one of the things people were talking about was that Peter Seidler's had 2 scrapes with cancer, and maybe he just wants to win. And we saw a little bit of that with the Tigers near the end with Illich, where he just wanted to win, and he put some money on the table and bought some good teams, and they made it to the World Series around that time. So maybe it's kind of refreshingly old school where teams used to be bought by people that wanted to win. They wanted to have a toy and would spend whatever money it took to win with their toy. So it's kind of an old school approach, and it's fine with me if that's what he wants to do with his money. The Padres are better now before it.
I'm with it until I get Miguel Cabrera in 6 really bad years of a contract.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. And I'm a little bit worried. I did, I stay in touch with analysts around the game and stuff, and I did get texts about the Xander Bogaerts deal, because generally what you're seeing is, I think the market, we had to sign a CBA, and once you sign a CBA, normally there's a little bit more spending afterwards, because teams are like, okay, we know what's going to happen for the next 5 years, so there's cost certainty. We know what's going on in the game, right? So that's part of it. Then you also have recovery from COVID, where there was a bad year in 20, and 2021 was getting that back, and 2022 was just a nice normal year where most attendances came back to where they used to be. So there's some more money in the deal. Then you have the new money from Apple, Peacock. You have these new streaming sources, and there was a discussion of maybe putting logos on the uniforms. So, or putting an ad on the uniform. So there's potential new money in the future that people are thinking about. So generally the market is happy. And so then you say, if all these deals look like overpays, then no, that's just the new market. This is where we are. This is what, teams are willing to spend. However, in that context, I still got a text from somebody who was agreeing with me on all that and thought the Xander Bogaerts deal was an overpay.
Well, I would just like to say this, that at this point, where these markets are, it is scary, because a lot of the team, we see certain teams paying it. So a lot of the other teams not paying it. So the divide between have and have-nots continues to grow. And then now the have-nots are looking at, if I do get a great shortstop that I bring up through my system, we're now setting the precedent of 9, 10, 11 years, 280 plus million. So that's where I know a lot of fans go, I like that that team's doing it, but don't think that down the line that's not going to affect your team.
Yeah, I mean, for a team like the A's, it means trading the guy earlier than you think, right? Because he's going to get
like the NFL. Let's talk about another sport. You got one quarterback gets it. That's great. He's phenomenal. Well, you bring up the quarterback. He's not as good, but he wants the same money as the great quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're stuck having to pay your average guy like a great play. It affects everybody. It affects basketball, NFL. That's why I'm saying, some people, I know what you said, they're sportsmen, spend your money, try and win, but don't think that someone's reckless spending is not going to affect you.
Yeah, and, it's fair to say, there are teams that don't spend as much and still win. However, the correlation between spending and wins is tightening over time. I think it's because teams generally have the same playbook. They're all like, oh, we need to develop guys. You need to hug your prospects. We love barrel rate. We love, we love chase rate. We love discipline. Like there's very little like, ooh, we figured something out. Look at the Guardians. They're trying something different where they're like, we're going all contact, right? Like all our guys make a ton of contact. How long until, if that works, other teams just do it too? So and the Dodgers and Yankees buy guys that can make contact. So how long does that competitive advantage last for the Guardians? And what you have also seen is look at who won it all. Look at who won the World Series. I think it's been 20 years since somebody in the bottom half of the salary, in terms of salary output, won it all. So, there is a question of like, yes, you can win. And then that's something that people talk about in Oakland, right? But it doesn't work in the playoffs. It's like he can put together teams that win, but could he put together a team that won it all without spending more money?
And just think about the team that won it all. They've let Garrett Cole, bye-bye. Carlos Correa, bye-bye.
Yeah, we just replace them from within.
Justin Verlander. They've let great players go.
They have a guy, Hunter Brown, that if you overlay him with his mechanics, like if you do one of those overlays that they do online, he looks exactly like Justin Verlander. They just developed another guy that just looks like Justin Verlander. They're like, we're gonna plug this guy in.
Verlander. Give me a big holiday surprise. You see, you're hearing anything that will be a big holiday surprise for us?
No, I don't have anything for you. I think the trade market will be interesting. I think once we see Correa and Rodon sign, there's going to be a trade thing. And I don't want to necessarily give, Dansby Swanson $250 million just because I got left to holding the bag. So I might start exploring some really interesting trade options. One thing that I think about right now is the D-backs have 5 outfielders.
Yeah,
one of them
young athletic outfielders.
They're all young. They're all left-handed hitting, and one of them can even play catcher. So I see the D-backs being right in the middle of something really interesting when it comes to the next trade.
Gavin Lux doesn't have a good arm at second. You really think he's going to play short?
But I don't know what the Dodgers are going to do. Maybe they find some way. What they love doing is short deals on high average annual salaries. So maybe they can convince Dansby Swanson to come in for 2 years and $50 million, but they don't want to pay the long-term deal. I
mean, they got center field, third base. They got all kinds of positions they need to fill.
Yeah, I like some of those guys that they're finally coming up. Miguel Vargas, their player development is pretty decent. They're going to develop some guys to plug some holes in, but you would expect them to have been more active on the market.
All right, so
they let Cody Bellinger go, and he signed for the exact same number that he would have signed for in LA.
That's crazy. I mean, the Cubs. I was like, "Are you serious?" All right, this is our last show before. I don't even know when are we coming back in January, Commander.
It's like the 9th, I think.
The 9th?
Yeah, I think it's January 9th.
You know how much could happen between then?
What, Rodon and Correa?
Oh no, Correa will not have signed by the time we come back. But
the market's still heating up.
What are you doing with your family for the holidays?
We are staying in for Christmas, and then we're gonna go down to San Diego for New Year's. So back down there.
Well, there's a lot of money down there. While we were there, everybody was getting it. You might as well find some of it while you're down there, my friend.
Yes, and I'll be having some good beer down there, and also a beer I'm having right now that's a great wintertime deal is Firestone Walker has this mocha stout it's a nitro stout, so you pour it hard and it has these beautiful little waves that go through. And it's got a little coffee and a little bit of mocha, and it's a perfect way to kind of I don't drink coffee, so it's a little bit it's my version of coffee.
I mean, and you can drink it any time of the day. You can drink
because it's the holidays, right? I'm decorating the tree. I'm going to pour this beer here at 10
8 a.m. Santa's here. The partnership with you has been a great success. Fieldwork has been a great partner. Obviously, you know how we feel about your work. You're one of the smartest in the business. We just want to thank you for helping us get better here on A's Cast and A's Cast Live. And I can't tell you how much we look forward to 2023 and our partnership with you. So you be well and have a great time. Good Christmas and have a great time in San Diego. And we'll see you in 2023.
Yeah, happy holidays and everything. Thanks for having me on, and let's do some live events in the spring and really enjoy it.
I'm
So
getting a spring
thanks for having me
training
on.
event. Let's get a spring training event going early.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
Take care.
All right, see you guys.
The Eno Sarris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
Boom.
I feel like everyone's going to San. It's where my wife and I are going for New
You're
Year's.
going back to San Diego?
Yeah, well, we're doing a New Year's trip part 2 because we went last year and COVID got us while we were down there. So we're going to try to do it again this year. But my wife's grandmother's 80th birthday, they're doing the celebration in San Diego prior to New Year. So
nice.
It's a lot of traveling coming up for me. I'm going to Boise on Monday for the San Jose State.
I'm still working on that.
Whoever they're playing in the
Eastern Michigan
in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl game. That's next Tuesday. So I'm going in Boise Monday for 3 days. Come home. We're spending Christmas at home because my wife
Problem
works.
is getting back. The flights are way expensive coming back. On the next day.
Yeah, we ended up getting, I think it was a little under $300 for one person round trip.
So Rodon and Correa, that's it. We're down to 2.
Do we count Dansby Swanson? I mean, he's one of the big 4.
Yeah.
So those 3.
Because you thought at this point we'd be talking about Taijuan Walker and Jamison Tyone, but they went early.
Yeah. Walker to the Phillies, right?
And Tyone to the
Cubs. Tyone was 4 for 68, and Walker was, I think, 4 for 71.
Wait a minute. I have what they combined for. They combined for $140 million for Walker and Tyone. $140 million for those 2 guys.
That's a lot of money for 2 guys that are
Brandon Nimmo, not Nemo. Why is everybody calling him Nemo? Nemo's a fish in a Disney movie.
Well, because I think Boris did something a play on words with Nimmo, and because I think that's one of his guys. Yeah, it's Nimmo.
He had 16 home runs.
Very good defensively, but yeah. But I can't justify that deal.
So Bogarts, no. There were 6 9-figure deals at the winter meeting. 6.
Is that any good?
$162 million for Brandon Nimmo.
Nimmo.
Now you got me saying it. Nimmo.
That's a lot of money.
$162 million for 16 home runs. Oh, he's a good defensive. I could pay a guy $700,000 to be a good defensive center fielder.
So You're
gonna have Christian Pache. He's all the center fielder you need.
I was just gonna say the Dodgers are with Jason Hayward. You should have just traded Bellinger for Hayward. But you're getting Hayward for a lot cheaper because you signed him off after he was cut.
Well, he's a free agent. His contract was up.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so you signed him for literally nothing, where instead of what the Cubs are paying him a ton of money to do nothing offensively.
Yeah, it's crazy times. And once again, let's go over again in case someone's just joining us, what the A's got.
Okay, so the A's acquired
Sean Murphy, by the way, traded to the Braves, and the Brewers are a part of the deal.
So A's acquired left-handed pitcher Kyle Muller, who was 6'7". They got right-handed pitcher Freddie Tarnick, who was the 6th best prospect according to MLB.com. He's a right-handed pitcher. Manny Pena, who's 35, not like 35. He's 35 years old, so he'll be a
35
veteran.
right now.
35 right now, so he'll be a veteran for you. And minor league right-hander Royber Salinas, and they also got Estuary Ruiz from the Brewers, who's their number 8 prospect. So there you go. Oh, and VMIO Machine DFA'd as well. David Force is supposed to speak at 3:30.
And Chris Bassett is signed today with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Bassey, now a Toronto Blue Jay, 3 years, $63 million, pending a physical, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN. And we saw another former A last night. Sean and I get 2 years, $25 million, with an reported opt-out after 2023 to go to the San Francisco Giants. Don't have to get into it, but a very bad year last year from Anaya. So
very rough.
So apparently, from what Susan Slusser, our friend, is saying, the Giants are still not out on Rodon.
There was a very interesting article in the San Jose Mercury News. Evan Wiebeck, I believe is how you say his name.
Yeah, he's a new Giants. He replaced Kerry Crowley.
Yeah, we might want to have him on. He did a very good article about what it was like at 5 a.m. for Farhan to wake up to the text saying that Aaron Judge is staying with the New York Yankees. And reading the article and reading the stuff, Judge let everybody know that if you were going to sign him and he's going to leave this legacy of the Yankees, which who was talking about that the whole time?
You.
That you were going to have to dramatically overpay. Like dramatically overpay. So even when Judge flew in to meet with the Padres real quick in San Diego before heading to Hawaii for his anniversary, you got to think state taxes. You start doing the state taxes of what it's going to cost, 13.3% of state taxes every game you play in California. Every game that you play for Giants, Padres, whoever. Every single time, let's just say he's a Giant. Every single time he plays for the Giants, 13.3%. Every single time he plays across the bay against the A's. Then he goes down to play the Dodgers and plays all the road games against the Dodgers and the Padres. And then he's going to play games against Anaheim. You add up all the taxes, you literally have to blow. And New York's a high tax rate, but state tax, but not as much as ours. You got to blow. And you don't play. You only play your home games and then the Mets. Think about that.
Yeah.
You don't have two other teams in your division. See, that's the thing about signing with the Giants. You even say for the A's, at least you got one team in the Angels. But if you're in the National League West, you've got your taxes for your team, and then the two other teams you got to play in your division. And I know people think, wow, they make enough money. I'm just telling you, it adds up to an extreme amount of money, and you literally, their agents and their tax people are breaking it down, and you put that over 9 years, you've got to blow the Yankees 360 out of the water. How much? I don't know. I'd have to get to like my tax guy, and let's totally break this down. But, you know.
We never saw an actual figure on the Giants reported offer. We heard $400 million.
Just think about taxes. You play in Massachusetts a lot of games. They're a flat 5% tax rate for state. Florida, they play in Florida against the Rays. They train in Florida. Zero. A whopping zero. I have no idea what Maryland is.
No idea. What about Canada?
They pay high tax. I have no idea what you pay because you pay where you play. If people don't know,
I remember you mentioned Canada,
and I'm not trying to act like an expert. I may not be totally right. I just know the highest they can tax people who make a lot of money in California is 13.3%.
I remember we asked years ago at the old station. We asked Sean Doolittle that question. He goes, "I don't know the tax rate in Canada." I remember that was a question about the.
People who live in Canada pay high taxes. I don't know what happens if you go and work there and you're getting charged. I don't know exactly how that works.
Plus, the Yankees would only be going there, 8 or 9 times
I'll never forget the Boston Globe had it. Pablo Sandoval, basically the Giants and the Red Sox both offered $95 million. But Sandoval made like over $10 million more because of taxes signing with Boston than he did with San Francisco. It's a lot of money. So if that was $95 million, Pablo versus San Francisco, what's Aaron Judge's? When it's all said and done, 9 years of all the taxes, what would be the difference playing all these games in California, just not your home team, but in division, A's, what is that when you're in New York and you only take on the Mets? So essentially like 84 games. Now, he does have to come out to California and play California teams, but the money it's a lot. So and every single time you would up, the Yankees the Yankees never have to get, you always think that the Yankees they have to offer more than the West Coast teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. Because they can break down the taxes. His people, the team's people, they can break down the taxes for you and say, hey, our stuff is still valuable. Our offer is still worth more money. We don't have to offer as much money because of state taxes. And I know fans don't want to hear it, but that's a reality. I know it for a fact from friends of mine who are agents in the NFL. That's a big thing in the NFL. It's a big thing in baseball. The state taxes are a big deal. I don't have to. The Giants have to, or the Padres have to go way past the Yankees to make it worth it.
Makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And it's not something that's really going to get talked about and reported, but that's why the Yankees could be at 360. If the Giants or Padres up it to a certain point, Then they can just go to 370. Now the Padres and the Giants have to go now well over 400. Like every single time the Yankees went up 10 million, they would have to go up a lot. Next thing you know, they're now well over 400 million because it's a 9-year deal.
Yeah. He's making not 365 by 9 is he's making 40 mil a year with the Yankees in the new deal. It's a lot of money.
You just keep pushing the Giants and the Padres to a point that they just can't go that high.
But I was told they won't be outbid.
Oh well, if you're gonna take shots at your friends across the bay, I already roasted them when we were down. Remember they were down there? They're all Giants people were walking around. The media that covers the Giants, they're all walking around because on Tuesday they were signing Aaron Judge. John Heyman's putting on
Arson first.
Arson Judge, Aaron Judge. And the Giants people are walking around. Boy, they just got Aaron Judge. By Wednesday, they're all on flights gone. I could not believe that. Put it this way. Gabe Kapler, we found out, your boy Cappy, was late to the National League managers' pictures.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. We have a source in San Diego that said they were all sitting around, finally said, take the picture without him. They had some choice words for Gabe Kapler, the other National League managers. And then they were like, take the picture without him. Finally, he shows up. I know for a fact I saw 2 Giants people getting into an Uber, assuming that Uber was going to the airport. I saw 2 as I was coming back from our first. Remember, we did 16 hours of live programming from the winter meetings. I'm coming back on Wednesday from Cody barely allowed me to walk across the street to Starbucks to get something to eat. Actually, I got a poke bowl that day. And I'm walking back into the hotel, and I see 2 Giants PR people getting into an Uber. So they basically, and we would have Bob Melvin after that. So we basically saw Giants PR dropped old Cappy off at the pictures, hustled down, got into an Uber, see you later. Everybody changed their flights. Giants people, once they found out Wednesday morning, no Aaron Judge, couldn't wait to get out of San Diego. Pretty accurate description?
Yeah, and I would say one could assume that they were taking an Uber to the airport because San Diego is pretty walkable from where that.
They weren't going to lunch with their backpacks and luggage.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They weren't going to get fish tacos and a cerveza.
Yeah, no. They were most likely certainly going to the airport. William Contreras has spoken on the trade. He's put a bunch of broken heart emojis out on Twitter. So clearly, I don't think he's happy about going from Atlanta to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, what is Milwaukee doing now? They were going to move a bunch of people. Well, they still could. That's the thing that Eno's talking about. Once again, where we have been so far, are we in hot stove yet? Can we call this hot stove?
I don't think so.
Okay. Where we are in the offseason.
Although Hot Stove is a show now on MLB Network, so I don't know.
They would rather pay than lose their prospects. I rather say, all right, I like Cody and I want to bring Cody to A's Cast. Instead of me trading all these prospects to get Cody, I'd rather go get somebody else where I just give them money. And then I keep my prospects. That's what baseball is saying right now. I want to keep the guys I have that I've groomed, that I've raised, that I've loved, that I've drafted, that I've signed, and I'll just overpay in free agency for a guy. But now that all those guys are, Rodon and Correa will be gone, the major fish are going to be gone. Is this when the trades start to happen? I mean, you got to get going, man. It's the 12th? Before you know it, it's Christmas, New Year's, then it's January. We'll be at fantasy camp. Then you snap your fingers and bang, pitchers and catchers. Pitchers and catchers are going to report in basically 2 months.
Yeah.
We normally report around the 12th, 13th, right around there, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, today's December 12th. 2 months, your pitchers and catchers are reporting.
Let's see if I can find the date. Pitchers and catchers, this is one. The Rays are starting on the 14th. So we're usually either 14th or 15th.
All right. So basically 2 months from now, pitchers and catchers are reporting. And there's so many teams that have done nothing.
The guy on the Brewers that can be traded if a team doesn't land a shortstop, Willie Adames, although they said, we're going to keep him.
Yeah. Willie Adames was like, maybe I have a feeling we are underselling how long these guys are going to play shortstop. I think these guys are going to play short. I mean, Eno's basically got these guys 2-3 years off shortstop.
Yeah.
Sounds like. I have a feeling these guys are going to play shortstop longer. And I know the analytics hated Derek Jeter. You're going to pay your shortstop to play longer than you think. I mean, look at the guys I got. You're going to talk about Gavin. Gavin Lux has no arm.
So he plays second.
Well, no, he's a shortstop.
He'll be a second baseman. They'll get a shortstop.
So I got a feeling some of these guys are going to play shortstop longer than you think. But the trades, maybe but normally we don't see a flurry of trades at Christmas and New Year's.
No, I'm going to throw a name at you. And I just thought of this. I haven't seen anything being reported that they want to move him, whatnot. We're talking about the Brewers. Do you think they would trade Christian Yelich? Do you think anybody would want to take on his contract? Because he signed that contract and he has not been the same guy.
You sent me a Bleacher Report thing on contracts that we were going to get to, but we never got to because the trade of Sean Murphy changed everything. He's the worst winter meetings contract they had ranked.
It was like 9. He signed that deal. It was like 9 for 216, something like that.
It was a lot, and it's been bad.
He had the MVP year, and then he had the next year when Bellinger ended up winning the MVP, right? Bellinger won the MVP the following year when Yelich was really good. It was at 2019. Let me just pull it up. Yeah. He wins the MVP in 2018. He hits 36 home runs, drives in 110, hits 326, leads the league in slugging and OPS and total bases, and wins the MVP. Next year, his age 27 season, he hits 44 home runs in 130 games, drives in 97, steals 30 bases, so he's a 30-30 guy. Hits 329, leads the league, and has a 1,100 OPS. Then after that, 2020 hits 205, 2021 hits 250 or 248, and then last year in 154 games hit 252, hit 14 home runs. So over the last
go over his homers the last 2 years.
I'll do 3, including the COVID year.
No, COVID, okay. No. Just last 2 years.
23.
20. So what does it break down? Last 2 years.
He had 9 in 2021 and 14 last year.
Wow.
And
9 and 14. 9? He didn't even have double digits 2 years ago?
Yeah. Where's his contract at? I'm scrolling down. I think it was 9 for 216 is what he ended up signing with. He is a 2020. Wow. He's unafraid till 2029 when he's 37. He's making 26 next year, the year out, all the way till 2029 when he makes $20 million. And there's a mutual option or a $6.5 million buyout.
A's fans, listen to me. Can you imagine if we paid a guy $26 million for 14 home runs? These contracts, but it's the price of doing business. I get it. Want to end on this. This is our last show of 2022. And I wanted to say thank you to all of you A's fans, because what we're building is something special here. And every single time that we get around the baseball world, we're reminded of that. You know, we go along into our little A's Cast and A's Cast world and, you know, follow this team, follow Major League Baseball. I think we do as good a job as anybody in the sport. But we just do what we do. We work hard. And we forget that everybody's watching us. And it's going down to the winter meetings again that makes us realize that everybody's paying attention to what all this is. Whether you're watching us or listening to us, what we're doing is the future. Multiple teams are trying to copy us as we speak. Everybody's coming up, telling us how they've been watching the growth. They've been watching what we've been doing, watching how we expand. Everybody tells us this is no doubt the future of Major League Baseball. But we can't do it without you. We can't do it without your support, without your love, everything you guys have done for us. And hopefully we do the same. We're all in this thing together. It's, you know, we can talk about trades and signings and Murph and oh my God, but the one thing that A's, what we always do is we innovate. And that's what we're doing here with A's Cast and A's Cast Live. So on our way out, after just coming from San Diego to the winter meetings, just want to say thank you and just what everybody's telling us in baseball. This little community of ours is special. There's no question about it. And there's 29 other teams that are watching, and they're fascinated by what we're doing. So let's keep growing this thing in 2023. No matter what the team's record is, team could win 100 games, team could win 60. We're still going to do what we do at the best and highest level we can do it. And we're going to do it for you, the A's fans. So we will always have that commitment to you. Thank you, Cody, everything that you do. Happy holidays to everybody. You do anything special for the holidays?
My wife works, so I'll stay at home, but we're going to San Diego after. So what about you?
Gonna go to Tahoe for the first time I'm gonna do a snowy Christmas for the first time in my life. We've never done that. Want to do it one time before, because let's face it, I'm getting to a point, kids are gonna be gone after next year. They'll come home for Christmas, but you know how that works. Kids get older, you just don't know how things work out. So we're gonna do one snowy Christmas, and we're gonna go up to Tahoe and do snow. Come back, watch a boatload of football, and then get ready for the season. Because we got fantasy camp coming up pretty quick in January.
Yeah, we come back on the 9th. We do a show, then we fly to Arizona to go to do fantasy camp.
And then all of a sudden, what happens? Bang, it's spring training. Excited. And you know what? Things will turn, A's fans. You know, it's the process. I know you hate it, but you always seem to like it once the process starts going good. And you know what? People are going to evaluate, this trade stinks, this trade's great, this signing's good, this one's not. They have the track record. So if you say trust the process, I mean, you know, isn't it funny? Philly is such a darling now, and they just had the longest streak of not going to the postseason, along with in the National League.
Yeah.
Think about that. You've never said that. You got to the Mariners had just been out of the playoffs since 2001. Philly hadn't been since what, 09?
2011.
11?
11, yeah.
I mean, seriously. We don't go through that.
You don't have the good producer always brings it back to themselves. You don't have a team you grew up watching that won 20 years without winning.
20 years.
That's not having a winning record.
20 years under 500. So, yeah, it'll be back. It's going to take a while, but it will be back. And yes, it's tough to see Sean Murphy go. I get it. I'm not going to tell you not to be angry, but we got to move on. That's how it works. So once again, thank you for your support. Thank you for everything you do for us. Continue to support us, A's Cast and A's Cast Live. Have a great holiday and holidays, and we'll see you back in 2023.
The 2022 MLB winter meetings from San Diego are now in the past, and A's Cast Live was all over it.
Well, once again, here from the winter meetings in San Diego.
From the signing of Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge is going back to the Bronx. He's agreed to a 9-year deal worth $360 million.
And Trey Turner.
Trey Turner gets 11 years, $300 million. 11 years.
To the biggest names in the sport.
Chris Russo, the Mad Dog, the great Bob Melvin. Great Samfold right here on A's Cast Live. Torey Lovello, the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, former Oakland Athletic, former A's bench coach. Terry Francona is with us here on A's Cast Live. Billy Owens, assistant general manager for the Oakland Athletics. The great Sarah Langs is with us. David Forrest, the general manager of your Oakland Athletics.
A's Cast Live had you covered at the winter meetings.
That's going to do it live from the winter meetings. I hope everybody enjoyed the coverage. We had a great time. Hopefully you had a great time watching.
If you missed any of the interviews from the 3 days, go to athletics.com/A'sCast to listen or youtube.com/athletics to watch today.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar.
pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Flex 10 is back. Get 10 Plaza Outfield level ticket vouchers for only $99 for any 2023 regular season home game. Buy your Flex 10 pack now and redeem for any combination of games later. You can use 2 tickets to catch opening day, 4 tickets to watch a fireworks show, and 4 tickets to catch the biggest matchups. The options are endless, so give the gift of baseball this holiday season. Visit athletics.com/fan values to purchase yours today. That's athletics.com/fan values.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.